Hey guys, Father Time here. I think you're going to enjoy this. It's going to be kind of a story time because I'm going to fly a full flight from JFK to Miami. I will timestamp it, but I will fly the full flight and have it recorded. This is going to be under FSiPanel down here in the bottom corner. You can see it. FSiPanel, new profile for the 777-300 from PMDG. Fantastic add-on. I've been flying the PMDG and the TFDi MD-11 back and forth. I worked for TFDi as a quality assurance guy. I've got to get back over there. I've got some testing to do. A new flight dynamics package is coming out today. Both great airplanes. Real pleased with them. Of course, the 777 is near and dear to my heart because I retired off it in September with American. I've flown this route, Miami to JFK, JFK to Miami, on 6 different airplanes so many times. Here's the gate we're going to. If you're going to do this profile, use this gate right there, F47. You have to use the correct gates according to the lesson plan. Start it up, and also I should have set the preset weather, which was downloaded from FSiPanel. So take a look at FSiPanel for you. Train Like Real Pilots, run by a guy named JP. Become a friend of mine, and he's a captain for US Airline at sim instructor, line instructor. He's a real deal. I've gone through all these presets for multiple patterns. It's been really great. Today's scenario, we're doing Open Scenario Manager, and for the first time, the 777 now is one of the chosen few aircraft, not a generic 777-300 by PMDG. And if you open up that flight plan, download the scenario, it loads it up into the weather pack right there. And when you go to open up, you put in the correct gate and the correct weather from the presets. A little bit more about that. Sim brief flight plan. You follow your flight plan here. There it is. And I've already done that, 698. Make sure you have the correct runways in. Make sure you have the correct routing off of the plan and generate the flight, which I've already done. Here it is. What's really cool, I'm going to show you something here. But this is the lesson plan here. Open that up. And it's I think it's flight 668. It might be 688 from New York to Miami. It's a 2.5-hour flight, gate 47, F47, and you open up the correct weather preset. I write down everything. I make up a sheet. Done many videos on many different aircraft doing that. Had all the information here, just like I would a real airplane, especially when you don't have another guy flying with you. That's the weather. I copy it all down. I get the NOTAMs ready, which is the taxiway closure. I read through the whole thing. Taxi out, I'll write down all the freaks, what to expect. Although, cool thing is we have push to talk, just like VATSIM. I've got my Boeing yoke, push to talk, say again button on my hostage stick so I can get them to repeat. We've got our download scenario, our SimBrief flight plan, our lesson plan is open. If you go to options, you can also set statues and pounds, and also, here's a cool one, cockpit flows. On my hostage stick, button number 1, if I click it, I get before start, after start, before takeoff, after takeoff, before landing, and after landing and shutdown checklist pop up, and I can have the first officer run it. Also, automatic frequency changes. I've selected those, and he runs that. If you take a look up top, they give a full landing report at the end. It's got the Leonardo supported, MD-82, PMDG, both these airplanes. It's a new one, that's why I'm flying it. And fly-by-wire, these 3 airplanes are fully supported. I'll tell you what that means. Phoenix, A320, others. These are the ones, consider them in beta. Here's my boy over here, TFDi MD-11. It's going to be one of these guys as soon as JP can get it all done over there. These aircraft are in the beta phase. It has some experimental stuff with the beta, but you can set up traffic patterns, everything with them. And then the scenarios, if you go to scenario managers, the reason why this is important that this is here is because if your airplane is listed as one of those, you can get the whole flight plan, the glare shield control panel or mode control panel, flight control panel, whatever you want to call it, fully loaded. Airplane is ready at the gate. I'll show you that. It's kind of productive because I did want to show you a full pre-flight here. I do have 2,000 hours on this airplane. I'm a little rusty on it because I've been working the TFDi MD-11, but because it's not one of those big boys, and you can do this, you can do a whole slew of things, including failures and things like that. It's pretty darn cool. Let me just minimize this, ready to fly so that it recognizes our airplane. Yeah, it's great. Really is great. This flight FSiPanel and this airplane is fantastic too. All right, we're in the airplane. You can see really important that you have power on the aircraft. If we go to the overhead, we've got APU power is running. You can see that everything is off though. ATIS off, seatbelt sign is off. Everything is not in position. Glare shield control panel is not set. Box is empty. Let me show you something here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I think I got to start this right here and restart FSiPanel so that it recognizes that we're in the 777. Let it open up. You should open this up after you boot up the airplane. There it is. 777-300 ER, IFR, set the correct runway, 31 left, always. Now you can do any kind of patterns. I've done a video on that. That'll be under my on my YouTube site for the PMDG 777. You can do malfunctions, failures. You can't do it on any aircraft, just the ones that are listed, the Mad Dog, the ones I showed you. That's the only thing you can do. But you can set all sorts of malfunctions here. You got the training scenarios. You can take snapshots like the real simulator. Be on a very short final, take a snapshot, do one and practice landings time after time. I've done a video on that. I'll do another one soon. But here we are. I'm going to click training scenarios, and here it is, JFK, and start training. And watch this. Downloaded ATC scenario pack. Please stand by. And off we go. Remember, nothing is loaded. We'll watch the overhead. Preparing your cockpit now. You'll start seeing things go on. ATIS not on yet. Down here. You can see the boxes being loaded. See the FMC over here, setting the payload. Your scenery starts now, contact delivery on 2345. And if you go to the overhead, ATIS on. I'm going to acknowledge that. Everything is set as the nav lights are on. This is the APU pump. APU bleed is on. Aircraft is cooling. Glare shield control panel. We call it the mode control panel on this airplane. 5,000, 314, 160. And LNAV, VNAV is armed because we're doing the Canarsie climb. We can go to the box. A couple of things I have to do here. Canarsie climb is out to 176. We'll take a look at that. 176. Someone told me that 176. 25. I'm just going to set that up. I'll show you that in a minute. You know, this is so instinctive to me versus the MD-11 because I flew so many Boeings, but the MD-11 is more of a hybrid between the Airbus A300 and the Super 80. That's what it feels like to him with the box. It's got some commonalities with the thing, but that's the MD-11. We're going to get this one set up for legs. So it's Canarsie 176 waving. You can see it's even loaded the SID and star all the way. You can check that against the flight plan in the interest of saving time. We won't. It's got the SID, it's got the star. It loaded everything. So that's pretty darn cool. It's got everything set there. Parking brakes are set. Trim is set. You can check here. And you can see the trim should be 4.75. And lo and behold, set at 4.75 down here. Checklist has not been run. We'll put that up. And let's get the ATIS, then we'll do some of the clearance and get started on the checklist. ATIS is going to auto-tune the frequencies for you guys.
Feet.
Just
Temperature
be patient. You do have to bring it. You do have to bring it over, but it'll tune it for you
departing runway 31 left. This is Kennedy Airport information. Charlie. Wind 350, 14 knots. Visibility 10. Cloud view 3,500 feet. Scattered 8,000 feet. Temperature 22.16. Altimeter 3028. Departing runway 31 left. Landing runway 22 left. Advise on initial contact. You have information. Charlie.
Okay, information Charlie. We'll put guard back over here, although really we'd be going on ramp. But ramp is over here. That'll be next when we go. I want to kind of do a couple of points on these preset things. Normally we load up the winds here, guys, right? We request the winds. They're already in there, as you can see. Don't request the winds, because remember, this is a pre-canned package from FSiPanel. Don't touch the winds, and the altimeters is 3028. So that is from the FSiPanel weather. So just some important points for press B. It's going to keep that one in. But this is the preset weather package, and there's a preset winds, so don't update those. Very important point. Okay, now that we are all set, we can get our clearance. And let's go, you know what we should do? Just have a little fun in this this guy, right?
This parking is too small for your aircraft.
We get stuff to brief.
Boarding requested.
Get some of this GSX action working. We could have just gone ahead and acted like we're ready. Somehow we get in the airplane, we ran this checklist. Man, this is a nice add-on, guys. What a great job. Hello, guys. Retired captain here. I know you guys thought you got rid of me. Great job, PMDG. Open forward cargo.
Pilot's boarding.
My last flight, I stood right here and said goodbye to the people from Paris with my wife. Very emotional. Aft cargo, forward cargo. We can do all that. We can do all that. Let's go back inside. Open some doors for you. And door management. Forward entry.
Starting.
Open. Opening. Forward and aft cargo. Up here. And they're opening. And the crew board is opening. All right, before let's get the clearance, then we'll go over to departure. Kennedy clearance, American 668, gate 47. Information Charlie, request clearance to Miami. Hang on one second. Maybe click on the screen. And Kennedy clearance, American 66. Oh, stand by. That's why, guys. I didn't have
American 688 morning. You're cleared Miami. Pacified runway 31 left, Category 5 departure. Done a seat climb. Number maintain 5,000 feet. Expect flight level 34010 minutes after departure. Squawk 4105. And your departure frequency 135.9.
Okay, Americana 688 cleared to Miami is filed. Kennedy 5 departure, runway 31 left, Canarsie climb. Climb maintain 5,000, expect 340 10 minutes after departure. Squawk 4105, departure free 35.9.
American 688, readback is correct. When ready for push and start, contact ramp control 129 airpoints 2. Have a good day.
Okay, when ready for push, 29.2. You have a good day too. American 688.
Passengers boarding starting.
All right, so 29.2's there. We can set that. Yeah, they set the freaks for you guys, but they do not set bring it over. You have to remember to do that, which of course I didn't. And the squawk was 4105. Let's go down the radio panel. 4105. What a great job these guys have done here. Yeah, it's amazing. 2,000 hours. My last flight was September of 2023 to Paris, and I'm rusty. It's only my third flight back on, a third or fourth flight. Not making excuses. It's eye-opening how interesting it is. I wonder how they're doing back there. Let's take a look. Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
Good morning. Fine-looking group of passengers. Let me bring it back outside. We'll take a look at the airplane. American Airlines colors, near and dear to my heart. They're loading her up.
Good morning.
I had the Kennedy package. Guys, it's going to be stream of consciousness, by the way. All the way to Miami. I'll tell you stories. I'll tell you things about the airplane, things about my career. Think of it as a live stream without you being able to ask me questions and me being able to embarrass myself. So anyway, let's go inside, and like I said, I'll timestamp the whole thing.
Boarding pass, please.
I've got about 3 hours to get this done before my grandchild comes over, so in we go. They're boarding. Let's look at the taxi out. Here we go, JFK.
Boarding pass, please.
Taxi.
Hello.
And there we are. Gate 47.
Hello. Good morning.
Typically, what they give us out is Tango Alpha. We'll push for the ramp.
Good morning.
On ground, we'll tell them we're ready to taxi with Charlie off gate 47. We'll go out Tango Alpha left on Bravo. We're going all the way to 31 left, way over here. So it'll be left on Bravo. Usually they give us hold short of Kilo. The reason is a lot of JetBlues, Deltas are coming down here.
Hello.
And turning left on Juliet. Sometimes they bring you all the way around on Bravo, hold short of Golf or Hotel, and then bring you across over to Zulu, to 31 left. But in our case, probably stop at short of Kilo. When we're ready, we're cleared to cross at Juliet and contact Tower. Interesting thing here, while the passengers board, we can take a look at under performance. Like I said, I'm not an expert on this part of it, that's for sure. Import from operational flight plan.
Hello.
Oh, you know what? I have to sign into a SimBrief on this one. There we go. Data from SimBrief. I'm not going to get the weather because it's not the actual weather. Okay, we're going to go up here. Flight details. Here it is.
Good morning.
QR code, Father Time. There's my Hoppy ID code. You guys, it's free, so don't bother copying it right there. Weather source is the sim. Manual.
Good morning.
Same preference. I guess weather source you could go real world, but if it's the sim, let me see something here. That's interesting. I guess maybe I could request it. So KJFK, let's take a look at that. I was thinking it would not give me the real 301001
Good morning.
28. Nah, it's more like 3028. It's not 1 3/4.
Good
Better
morning.
visibility. So that isn't the real world. There, maybe I did something wrong.
This way.
See the weather. Yeah. Okay, that's okay.
Hello.
Okay, so we talked about the taxi out. The SID is, let's see here. I'm going to go to the SID. It's the JFK-5 with the Canarsie
Morning.
climb. Blow that up so we can all see it.
Hello. Welcome on board. Good morning.
No idea what happened there. All right, so we got the JFK-5 Canarsie climb, runway 31 left. Climbing left turn direct Canarsie VOR. They want you to stay inside the 039 right in here. So some guys cross-tune that.
This way, please.
If you're turning before 1,000 feet, you're going to be well within inside that 039.
Hello.
So I don't put it on there. And then maintain within 4.5 of JFK. No problem. We'll be in nav, LNAV. Then via the 176. So that's why I wrote that 176 extended. And cross to Demi at Canarsie at or above 2,500. Not a problem at all. We'll be up near 5,000. That's the SID. I just know all that. If you wanted to, you could come on here on the fixed page.
Boarding pass, please.
And Canarsie, there it is. He even tuned 039 for us,
Welcome on board.
which was very nice of him.
This way.
There's the 039 off Canarsie. They want you to turn inside of that. So he's cross-tuned the 039 and he put in the 176. So you could do that in heading select if you wanted, but we've programmed it so we'll be able to go LNAV, VNAV for the whole approach. And the engine out is, there is an engine out approach at Kennedy, but essentially follows that same ground track, so I wouldn't worry about it. That 31 left engine out is basically left-hand turn, get you out of the way, climb to 3,000.
Hello.
Really not much different, but you could put that in if you wanted. All right, flight deck door is closed and secured. We can take a look if you want. Closed and secured. As people board here. Passenger signs, a little bit early, but we'll get those on
Hello.
according to the checklist. Passenger sign is on. MCP. So they've already set that for us. We've got 314 runway heading. We've got LNAV set, VNAV. V2 is 160, 5,000 feet, and we're in auto. MCP is checked. Takeoff speeds. We did talk about that, but there they are. We are flaps 5 takeoff, CG's 29, and 152, 155, 156. And if you want to set the engine out, acceleration altitude is 800 feet, 1500 accel, 1500 thrust reduction on page 2. Let's go up top and get the pushback started.
This parking is too small for your aircraft.
Might have to shut some doors, right? Let me go outside and take a look at things. All right, yeah, let me come inside and close some doors here.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Close all. Closing, closing, closing. And I'm going to wait for them to close, and then I'm going to get them armed. See, it's not green yet. When it goes green, you get the arm all. There's arm all. There it is, green, arm all. We're good. Ground service vehicles are disconnected. Ground connections are disconnected. All right, good. We're all good. CDU pre-flight is complete. What we would do naturally is go through the database, start with that. IDAN, make sure you have the correct database. Today is July 9th, and we're good in there. If there was secondary, you bring it on up. Go to position. That all looks good. You could put in up here KJFK if you wanted. Old school, we used to. Then they stopped doing it.
Locking gear.
Right up here. KJFK. Go through the route, walk through it. Usually we do that in plan mode. In map mode, I'm sorry. And then we go to plan. We walk all the way through in route. One guy holds the flight plan. Then, of course, we go legs, and we step through while watching in plan, while watching the map. If you don't have it in plan, it won't step through like that. We're looking for discontinuities. And that's it. On that, go back to map. And the last thing we would do is we go to Prague, and we make sure the distance, total distance of 1,083, cross checks with the total distance. Here it is 1,086. Just make sure it's in the ballpark. All right, and with that, we come in, make sure in map mode, and I go the shortest distance. I'm going to put on data, airport, and traffic. That. And everything else is done. Let's do this. Before we do this, let's...
American 688, RAM control, good morning. Push and start approved. Nose to the right, and when ready for taxi, contact ground 12149.
Push and start, nose to the right, face east, and 219 when ready for taxi. This American 688. He just called me out of the goodness of his heart. We can do this. This is before start flow. Let's go to the overhead, take a look at what it does. Before start, do that. You'll see what it's going to do is put on hydraulic pumps right there. Going to put on all the fuel pumps. I'm not doing this. It's putting on the beacon, and we go back to the checklist. How's that? Even selected the engine page. Trim, we already checked that. 4.5 set. Taxi takeoff brief, we did that. Beacons on. Normal checklist is complete, and that's before taxi checklist. So that's how you work that flow. So you get yourself a co-pilot changing frequencies and doing flows for you.
This parking is too small for your aircraft.
That's right.
Release parking brakes.
You got it, brother.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
All right, with the GEs, so we're going to start one at a time. On our 200s, we had Rolls Royces. You can start them both at once. So let's go back inside. Go to the overhead. Do the auto start. Auto starter's on. We'll stop the right engine first. Get normal braking. Hacks go off. You see that automatically. And you come down here and bring the fuel lever up and watch the magic as it starts itself. See the end runs coming up. And 2's coming up. There we go. EGT rise. I love this stuff. Man, it's fun. Alright, that's a normal start. Start valve's closed. Go back to the overhead. Start valve is closed. Start over here. Back down. A few levers up. Usually the captain's kind of looking outside and monitoring the start. And just watch this out. Yeah, it's going to be a stream of consciousness, guys.
Set parking brakes.
Brakes set.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine
We
start.
usually let them go.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Unlocking gear.
Yeah, I'm going to let you know what I'm thinking as a pilot, what I'm thinking as a captain, what I'm thinking as a sim pilot, what I'm thinking about the FSiPanel, how to manipulate that. We'll come in and I'll do a stinky landing and we'll learn something here. So we'll have some fun while we're doing it. A few stories too. Let's not forget about that. TCAS is off. Oh, I thought I did that, didn't I? I guess I didn't. Never wore it out TAR.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
There they go. You want to put the flaps down so they got clearer, and usually because we don't want to be moving the flight controls with them down there. Good way to hurt them with the nose gear. Flight controls here. I'm going to do my rudders. 6 seconds, stop, hold them on my nose wheel steering, full throw, which I didn't do. Ailerons are good with spoilers and elevators. And right about now, you look outside for salute. There they be. Go up here, flash the taxi light. Man, I miss flying this airplane. There they are, there they go. That's good. And let's do the checklist. And now we can do after start flow. Let's take a look. What is on the after start flow? If you take a look at the box, checklist, it's going to be anti-ice not recall, flight controls, ground equipment clear. Not much. So let's do that. After start, it's going to be flaps 5. It would lower the flaps and do all that stuff. Go in the overhead. Not much going on there, right? APU shutting down. There it goes. And the after start flow is complete. All right, I have a salute. Clear left, clear right. Stand up, sit down, fight, fight, fight. You know what? If I want to talk about these lighting, because I'm not happy with the lighting's kind of dim for doing a video. Master bright. See these white dots? 1, 2, it's like 9 of them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 way down here. 9. If you master bright controls all of those at once, unless it's not on the white dot. So master bright, it'll bring all those up. Kind of a neat little feature. Good way to get all your make it bright too. Anyway, that's a good way to do all the lights at once. Okay, we did clear left, clear right. Let's go to our radios. Remember, they tune them, they don't put them over. We saw that. Ground, they tune ground for us. And ground, American 688, off gate 47, information Charlie taxi.
American 688 ground, good morning. Taxi Tango Alpha, left on Bravo and all short of Kilo. Make sure to take left on Bravo, we have a traffic blocking the taxiway.
Left on Bravo, short of Kilo for American 688. We'll do that. Okay, so come up to the overhead, turn on our taxi light. Clear left, clear right. And what they're talking about is the taxiway is closed. We'd obviously start taxiing, but the NOTAMs on the lesson plan had the taxiway closed over here between Delta Alpha and Victor Alpha on the lesson plan. So that's why they're sending us left. But they usually do send us left out of here. All right, brakes release. How do I know? Because there's no message there. Cabin ready's good. Auto brakes RTO. Passenger signs are on. Doors are auto. And parking brake is released. It says it's set. Okay, it just took a little while to process. Yeah, whatever. Simism. Or, no, operator-ism. We don't arm the spoilers for takeoff. We do arm them for landing, by the way. Less than 40% to push away. Let the stream of consciousness begins, guys. So we're on a 300. In short order, they're going to have a camera here. There'll be a camera push button up on the system select panel. Watch out there, buddy. Yep, right under us. Let's see what he looks like. Yeah. That actually happens. That happens more than any kind of issue with other aircraft, ground equipment. So you're forever looking left and right. We're all super paranoid about that stuff. I guess it's not paranoid, it's just good piloting. If you want to know where you to square your turn off, wait on the 300. Wait till your turn point is down in the bottom left-hand corner down here to start your turn. 200, you can almost drive it like the 727. Honestly, it's a little hot rod like the 7.6, but the 300 is the one you're really going to swear it around. So yeah, when the camera comes, there's going to be, see the little camera in op switch. The camera's going to be there. I don't know if they're going to program it, if they have it modeled. I think there's a camera light up here. Used to be. Yep, the camera light's there. That's cool. You can see the what's going on below you. You're not allowed to operate it by operating limitations during takeoff and landing for obvious reasons. It's a distraction. Why would you need it, right? But it's good to see if the ground's down there or catering's still attached. Good way to peek outside the aircraft. Also, we use it on taxiing the big airplane a lot of times, especially when you're new, to find out where your nose gear is and where you square those turns off, especially in this big monster. There is where your nose gear is, right about where that speed tape is, right about there. You can see. See, we're a little left, and it says we're a little left. All right. They don't have on the Boeing a before takeoff on taxi out, but in American we did a mode control panel up here. We would check the active runway is set in the nav display, and in the box we'd check whatever we had here. 314 runway heading, we have nav armed and vertical speed arm 5,000. Captain Marvel should be taxiing a little smoother. There we go. And that's the mode control panel, set and checked. We'd set stab trim. We check, you update your zero fuel weight, check the winds, and you update also your center, your CG. Make sure that the CG matches the closeout, and the stab trim you get off the box. In this case, it's 4.5. Check that on the config page. At that point, you can go back to checklist. Here. You know, there is a before taxi check. Take a look here. Anti-ice recall, we did all those flight ground normal. And we did all that in the flaps for takeoff or set. And the stab trim, we'd look down whatever's in the box for takeoff data, which is 4.75. That's what we'd want to have set on the config page also. And then it's a flaps, and we'd say, okay, TPS calls for 5, Gauge is 5, box is 5, handles 5, set for takeoff. And Roger, the other guy goes set for takeoff. And then transponder, and we'd say Roger set 4105 and TARA. So that's just a few of the items we'll review. Mostly we go over the SID, taxi out, the SID, any configurations, any engine out procedures. We talked about here, there is an engine out procedure. We usually took off with it in the secondary, and if we lost an engine, we'd activate it and fly it in nav on that. But it pretty much follows the same ground track, almost identical ground track, and we're VFR anyway, as the Canarsie climb. I just know that from flying in and out. The way you find it is you go to departures and arrivals, and it's all the way in the bottom for 31 left. It'll say engine out procedure, and you can load that into your secondary. We're not going to do that. I'm not even sure it's in there on this one. And knowing PMDG, they probably do have it in there. I'm not sure that the Navigraph has that available. All right, they said to hold short of kilo, real critical. I told you why. So we're here, we're going to hold short of kilo before they clears to cross 22, because usually JetBlues and Deltas, those guys are coming from that way. You know, I thought I got rid of the AI aircraft. It's always something with me. I always forget to do something with the stuff. I remember the program, I was doing the MD-11, I came over here, I did all my flight controls, did all that, very proud of myself, changed it over, selected the preset weather, correct gate and everything, but I wanted to turn off that traffic, because the problem you run into is you get down to Miami and FSiPanel gives you gate Delta 30, and somebody's on it because you didn't deprogram the AI traffic. Not a big deal, but for immersion, it's not great. Well, immersion's not my strong point, as you can tell. I want you to see what I'm doing, even how I'm manipulating the sim. Let's see if there's any other checklists we could be doing. That was after start. Lineup flow. So you can program what you want on lineup flow. Lights on, packs on, yeah. If you wanted to do lights off, you do that when you lined up. Otherwise, we lights on, packs on. We would do flight attendants prepare for takeoff right now. You have to do that at least 2 minutes prior. We do the chime when takeoff is imminent. But the lineup flow, I personally like to, when I get cleared the lineup, I put on the wing
American
and runway turn
688
off.
for through control. Are you able to depart from Kilo intersection?
1 for firms, I'll press 1. Affirm, we can depart from Kilo for American 688.
Roger, hold short 31 left at Kilo and contact tower 123.9. Good day.
Hold short of 31 left at Kilo, contact tower 23.9. Good day for American 688. Guys, let me, the reason why I accepted that, I want to show you something that you can do with the box here. So we're going to hold short. Now, if I switched over to 23.9, they might call me, but I'll do it anyway because they did tell us to. There's 23.9. We're over, and Kilo's right here. And so what I'm going to do is park the airplane up here, short of Kilo. I know I can do this because we're so light going to Miami. If I was going to Buenos Aires, I doubt it. I wouldn't accept it. I'd wait till we can get full length, but it's a good exercise here. So let me go to the box when I get this thing stopped. And holding short of Kilo. You don't want to make anybody over there nervous, so we stop the airplane, park the brakes, go to the overhead, and shut off the taxi light so they knew we were stopped. Now let's go over to the EFB, and let's go to performance. Performance, and what you do is import from Operation Flight Plan. I didn't do this because I just accepted what they put in there. This could be embarrassing. I'm pretty sure you can do this. Runway dry, runway length. All right, so if you take a look at intersection Kilo, that's a runway of 14,000 feet. That's about a fifth of the way, so I would say you lose 2,000. So instead of having 14,500 available, we'll go 12. We'll go with 12,000. Obviously, not an issue. And why not? We can even put in 11,000. Runway length. 11,000. Be hyper conservative. Import from aircraft. Port weather. Calculate. And there you go. So yes, we can definitely do it. It's TO2, which is what we have set here. Thrust limit is TO2 dry, 46. Takeoff's good. He's on legs. Yeah. All right, so let's go to tower. Make sure we are on there. I want to do that twice in one flight. Next frequency is going to be 35.9, but I'm not going to tune it. I'll let my FO do that. And tower, American 688's holding short at Kilo.
American 688 tower, good morning. Runway 31 left, intersection Kilo, 9 up away.
Good morning. Line up and wait. 31 left, intersection Kilo for American 688. All right, parking brakes off. Here we go, line up and wait. So now we can do what? We talked about it. Little lineup checklist, which is the lights. Lineup flow. You can hear them switching the lights for us. Finals clear, line up and wait. Clear left, clear right. Yeah, this is fun. I tell you, I love this airplane. Oh my God. What do I miss about being retired? Not much about the travel and the highway.
American 688, wind 35015, runway 31 left, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, 31 left for American 688. I'm going to stop it just because we got some things. Clear for takeoff. Let's go to the overhead. We didn't chime them yet. They're chimed, and lights are all on. Yep. Cleared for takeoff. We'll do the wings on too. Strobes are on. All's good. Let's go. Set about 50%. People have been asking me if the engines sound good. You know what, guys? I think they sound great. Fine. It's a little more of a roar in the airplane.
80 knots.
Check. You're going to hold on the throttles. We check cross cockpit on that one. 2 to 3 degree rotation rate. We're going to be light, so it's going to be up near 20 degrees.
V1. Rotate.
2 to 3 degrees per second. Not used to it.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. All right, we can hand fly it if we want, or we can put the autopilot on, which we will. Watch it do its magic. It's LNAV in it. It's going to turn here inside the 039. There it goes. It's 1,500 feet. You get climb power. Slower in the nose. At or above 2,500, about 2
American 688, contact departure.
One. Go on departure, American 688. All right, and then when you approach flaps 1, you can go flaps up. Flaps 1, go flaps up. And you can see the flaps coming up there. There's departure pre-tuned for us. Select it. Departure American 688 is out of 2,500 for 5,000.
American 688 departure LO identified, climb 7,000 feet and continue Canarsie climb.
And hello, up to 7,000 feet, Canarsie climb, American 688. All right, 7,000 feet. Looking good. And continuing the Canarsie climb, which is in nav. Gears up, flaps up. After takeoff, checklist. After takeoff, looks good. After takeoff, flaps are, they're up. That's a glitch, guys. Checklist is complete. Flaps are up. Checklist override. It should have gone like that. And after takeoff, checklist is complete. My fault on that one. I wasn't.
American 688, climb and maintain 11,000 feet.
11,000 feet, American 688. Heavy. Should be saying heavy, right? In America. 11,000, that's what we asked for. That's what we get right there. All right, so we're flying out. We're eventually going to be cleared over to Wavy. And that takeoff checklist is complete. Waiting at 10,000, we'll get the chime. American waited till 18 on this airplane. On the A320s, they get them off at 10, Super 80s, I think, because there's drag. The lights come down off the wing. But usually at American, we waited till 18. I've been getting them off of my videos at 10 because that's kind of what you do in VATSIM. That's what they want you to do. And I just kind of playing that game. I still don't like the lighting over here. So now I can improve the lighting here. But when I do that, I know the master is not going to work anymore. Right? The master is going to be not going to control that because it's not on the white dot. All right, here comes 10,000 feet. Let's go to the overhead. Give him a chime. 10,000 feet, and we'll turn off the lights too. Turn offs are off. They already got those after takeoff for me. The co-pilot on the flow. Pretty cool. There's 11,000. Accelerating the cruise Mach. I'm into climb Mach. If you want to check what that is, what you can be expecting, go to BNAV. Is 320 transitioning to 0.83, and we're going to be cruising at 0.83 down to Miami on Econ, and descending at 0.83, transitioning to 314. That's it. So everything's working perfectly thanks to PMDG. Keep wanting to say TFDi. Sorry, PMDG. TFDi to my boys. You guys are freaking awesome. They are too. So it's been a
American 688 route direct Wavy. Expect IR shortly.
Direct Wavy. We'll expect that shortly. American 688. Wavy. Execute. Looks good. We check on both sides. Looks good. Yep. LNAV. And here we go. Execute LNAV. So that's what you asked for, and that's what you get. Yeah, I feel certain disloyalty flying this because TFDi has been very, very good to me. But man, I've been dying for these two airplanes to come out. Try to keep the heading kind of slewed around. Let's see, 117 right around there. Try to keep it just in case they give us vectors technique. And that's descent, so we can clear the checklist out of there. If you want to check your pressurization, a lot of guys like to do that right about in here at 10,000 and see what the cabin's climbing to. Cold, hot temperatures are good. Hydraulics are good, oxygen's good.
American 688, contact New York Center, 125.325. Have a nice flight.
American 688, New York 125.325, thanks a lot. Wait for it, wait for it. I'm not touching anything. 125.325, now select it. Guys, if you didn't remember to turn your squawk on, and they would let you know. They wouldn't answer, they would tell you that. Or if you didn't put the right freak in, they'd tell you that too. And New York, American 688 at 1000. We're not with approach anymore.
American
so
688 New York Center. Identified flight direct Yazoo. Climb and maintain flight level 200, 200.
Climb and maintain flight level 200, direct to Yazoo for American 688. All right, so let's do flight level 200. Set. And we're going to go direct to Yazoo. How does that look? Looks good. Execute LNAV. VNAV, LNAV, direct Yazoo 200, and I like to bring the heading bug around just in case they give us a radar vector. That's how I feel. All right, now we're rating for 2992. I hope you're learning something from the FSiPanel. It's a pretty cool program, and like I said, this 777, I mean, it's only been out a couple of months, and they've already got it integrated. They reached out to FSiPanels, reached out to TFDi as well. TFDi gave them a model. They've been working on it, or JP's been working on it, and they've got it up to the beta stage. It'll be able to do all this stuff too. I'll be asking him, as consider him a friend now, JP. Since I did a lot of work for him on FSiPanel, on the A300-600 Mad Dog, now this in TFDi MD-11, and so I kind of have open communication with him. Man, that FSiPanel Discord, it's tremendous information flow from guys who use it, from him, a lot of information over there. $50 program, guys. I don't make any money off it. I don't make any money doing this either. It's just my retirement, my mentoring retirement project, so be nice to me in the comments, but please leave comments. Positive, honestly, or negative, please leave comments. That's how I got even as far as I have. I've been flight simming a little over a year. I started because my FO did it, and Xbox had Microsoft Flight Simulator come to it, and I had an Xbox in my basement all hooked up for my kids, and it was a new one. And I downloaded it and fell in love with it, and here we are a year later after I opened my channel, and as the subscribers are increasing. We've got about 2,700 or something like that. Here we come out of 18. Let's not get too
American 688, plan and maintain flight level 280.
Plan and maintain flight level 280, American 688. 280. I have a Logitech panel at home, guys. That's what I'm used to setting this with. When I first set it, whenever you're coming up on it, make sure you have an out capture. So there we go. We're out of the altimeters. Standard. After takeoff, climb checks complete. And last thing, we just make sure all the lights are out. And that's it. Except for the strobes. Wings we can turn off as well. Takeoff, climb checks complete. We're going up to 34 eventually. Most of JP's FSiPanel's profiles are little 20-minute, 30-minute flights. You'll see that there are levels like anywhere from level 1 through 4. Let me show you. 1, 2, 3. There's a 4 there. This one I've flown it a bunch of times. It has circling. It's pretty challenging to sim, isn't it? Air New Zealand, Queenstown flight. In and out of mountainous terrain, complicated RNAV arrival. Qantas has a Melbourne flight. I'm trying to think of some of these others. This is a high altitude Bogota to Para. It's a difficult flight. You got Marseille to Corsi, and that's one with the circling. All sorts of flights. I try to put it in the colors of the airplane, like it's Air Portugal. I haven't flown that one. But there's all sorts of flights you can fly. Naturally, I mentioned you've got all sorts of presets. I've done a video already for this airplane about setting up a custom dog leg and do multiple approach after approach after approach for landings without having to taxi back around and do things. Very cool. They got training scenarios. They've got a pattern where you can, on the airplanes that are fully qualified, you can actually, it'll take you out on downwind and it'll fly you all the way around, even though it's not in the database, and set up an approach to bring you in for, let's say, an RNAV, an intercept, ILS. I like to vector myself, but that's kind of a good one. So these are presets. Take a snapshot anywhere in the approach that I mentioned. It saves in the file. You land, you load the snapshot, and off you go. You're right back in the game. So I think it's incredibly cool. Incredibly cool. All right, so coming up on
American
28.
688 for higher contact New York 128.30.
128.3. See you later. American 688. 128.3. They should have tuned it by now. My FO. They didn't change it over. 28.3. It's good. New York American 688 is out of 260 for flight level 280.
American 688 New York Center, hello, identified. Climb flight levels 340.
Climb to flight level 340. Hello, American 688. It's the newest profile on FSiPanel. Like I said, their profiles are normally 27, 28 minutes. And remember, not all the airplanes load everything like that, so it takes you a while to get set up. And I've got videos out on that, multiple videos. And of course, JP on the FSiPanel has a lot of them as well. But this is the first foray into a full-length feature all the way on down. So I've got my frequencies all ready that he provided on his lesson plan for New York City, Jacksonville, and approach. Something about FSiPanel, ATIS is always 123.45. Should know that. Yeah, very cool. And if you do a good one that JP likes, and it's on an airplane he hasn't done one on, he'll actually, on your scenario, you open Scenario Manager, we'll say an other, because I did one in generic, I did one on A300. There's JetBlue 1318. There's a YouTube tutorial if you want to watch it. Who's this one? Oh, it's Father Time. Here it is. So you can get yourself. Well, here we are on some FaceTime with FSiPanel too. Very cool. So I highly recommend it. I sound like he's my brother, and I own in it, but I don't. I just really admire that as a full-time airline pilot, captain, and a sim instructor, and a line check airman, this guy's out there doing this stuff and constantly improving the product. Constantly. All right, let's go fly around the outside. We're out of, it's a good time to do it, 30 to 34. Take a look at this airplane. The guys, the developers call this rivet counting, you know, where guys come in and say, oh, on the number 2 engine, midway up on the 3rd, there's a rivet that's darker than the others. You know, I don't get into that. So it's a, that's great. We have guys who like to do that. Look at those contrails, dudes. Dudes, man, I'm so hip. That it drives the product to a higher quality. I'm more, to a fault, interested in the flying characteristics. You know, 7 Lima Alpha. This is, you know, that is one I've definitely flown a bunch of times. Yeah, so I'm more in the flight characteristics. So I was in the development process of the TFDi MD-11. I was always saying, what are these guys talking about? What's wrong with the paint job? What's wrong with the gear? They're outside, they put a light out, they'll go out there, come out, they'll extend the landing light, and they'll turn on the left landing light, and the right one comes on, and they'll write it up. I'm like, how did you notice that? But they do stuff like that, and man, TFDi, I know, with 1,000 people looking at it, guys are getting a lot, so you end up with, oh, look at that, guys. Don't forget, here, how's that? It's pretty good, 40% saving. Here's your immersion for you. And I'm sure PMDG had similar things, but with TFDi, they had 1,000 people looking at it. So guys are saying, look at all those GitHub write-ups. Well, put 1,000 guys on your airplane looking at it. I'm not saying that they're on a lot of little things that can be improved. They definitely are. But man, they nitpick it to death, which is a good thing. A good thing. Here comes 34. Make sure it does it. It's still in path. There it is. Nice job. Make sure you get the cruise mark in for the cruise check. 0.83, that's what we want. RVSM, if you want to change that, you can change it to 1,000 feet for the step climbs, program step climbs. We used to put in 0 for fuel predict in case we get stuck at that altitude. That's that. And the descent setup, 0.83 transition to 314, and go to the box, make a PA, rather. Make a PA, get that seatbelt sign. Want me to do a practice PA? Oh my goodness. been a while. 17:01 in the present time, so it's about 2 hours from now. And the Miami weather, it's 24 degrees before, okay, 24, about 76. There we go. And welcome aboard from the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen. It's Captain Richard. On behalf of myself and First Officer Johnson, I'd like to join the flight attendants and welcome aboard our flight to Miami Airport. We've reached our cruising level of 34,000 feet. I've turned off the fasten seatbelt sign. As a reminder, you are required to keep your seatbelt fastened securely about you anytime you're at your seat, just in case we encounter any unexpected choppy air. For security reasons, please use the lavatories assigned to your portion of the cabin. Do not transfer between cabins. And also for security reasons, please do not transfer between cabins or congregate near any of the galleys or cockpit door. With those formalities out of the way, once again, welcome aboard. We'll be landing in about 2 hours, almost exactly 2 hours, at about 11 a.m. Miami time. Have you at the gate around 11:10 to 11:15. Our scheduled arrival was 11:30, so about 15 minutes early. For those of you making connections, you should have very comfortable walk to your connecting flights. The weather in Miami, it's presently 76 degrees Fahrenheit, 24 degrees Celsius. The winds are out of the north at 20 miles per hour. They're landing to the east with some scattered clouds and excellent visibility. We'll be back on approximately 25 minutes before landing to give you the most current weather as well as the proposed landing time. Thank you. So anyway, now you know I was a real airline pilot, since I can say that in my sleep. Not without misspeaks on occasion, but it's always a variation of that, you know. Anyway, an American, it was always the captain that made the PAs. And by the way, we're going to do a fuel check here at Zizzy. We are at Zizzy, and we would have a fuel log we check, but we can check here. We push back, release fuel is 61.7. Our burn to Zizzy was 12.9, so roughly 13.61.
American 688 over now to Washington Center, 118.9025. Have a good day.
118.9025 for American 688. You have a good day too, sir. Save me from my public math at that moment. You take a minute, wait, there it is. Washington American 688 at flight level 340.
Good morning, American 688, Washington, you're identified. Maintain flight level 340.
Maintain flight level 340. Good morning, American 688. Okay, where were we? So, Zizzy. What we do is we come down here. We would go to the fuel page. It's 53.4. I always go to the fuel page and check the balance, make sure everything's working a little bit more than I have to do. So 53.4, of course, we're well past it now. We could do one here at T-Bone. We're only 5 miles, so that's less than a minute. So take 200. We'll be at 53.1. 53.1. And T-Bone, we should have burned 13.4. All right, so 13.4, it's 48.3. So we're way ahead. 48.3, we're 53.4, so we're 5,000 pounds ahead of the fuel curve. Yeah, so we pretty much do a fuel fix every way going down. Somebody should be doing it. Guys have different habit patterns at cruise. At every point, some guys check the engine instruments. They check everything on them. Some guys do, we call it in the Air Force HEFO, hydraulic, electric, fuel, oxygen, and engine. They go to hydraulics. These are the critical ones under STAT. Hydraulics is right there, 3,000 PSI hydraulics. Electric, which always was a little more critical in the little airplanes in the Air Force. Hydraulic, electric, of course these new airplanes kind of tell you. Fuel, we just did that. Oxygen is air, we check that. If you want to check what your pressurization is, what you actually have in the crew oxygen, you press the stat, it'd be here. 1650, that's good. Usually 1850. Usually I have 1100 for a bottle temperature of 70 degrees. And then engines, we just check the engines for result. They do HEFO checks at a lot of points. old Air Force habits or whatever they came up with, civilian, military. Everyone has their own habits, but the bottom line is we each have a fuel log sitting on our clipboard, and we check our fuel and our timing and update it. If we're starting to drop off on fuel, we might suspect a fuel leak. We compare our actual fuel to what's actually on the position fuel, and see if there's a major difference. A fuel log predicts or based on the FMC. So yeah, actual versus what the FMC thinks you should have. Certainly, if you start to notice a 2,000-3,000 pound difference, you start suspecting a possible fuel leak, and naturally there's a fuel leak checklist. If you guys haven't been instructed on checklist here, let's go in there. So we got checklists. We got the normal menu, resets, which we reset before flight, non-normal. Enunciated means that it's something that pops up here. You'll get a message that says engine fire, left engine bleed, or something like that. But unenunciated checklist, so it's not here. If it pops up there on the display, you would know that it's in here somewhere. If there's something else you want to look at, you look under unenunciated engines, for instance, aborted engine, start engine reflight, pretty much everything that you could imagine. Tailpipe fire, evacuation, right here. But we also have a quick reaction card that sits in here in the airplane, and that has a lot of the critical items. Evacuation certainly is one of them. You pull that out, and then you go to the appropriated checklist. You click off the items, and some of them have paths. So if you say yes, it goes one way, no, it goes the other. This is the non-normal checklist, and it's fantastic to practice. Thought I'd go through that with you. You know what's funny is that you're flying the line, and you go down every 9 months for recurrent training, physical every 6 months, 9 months at American, and sometimes you forget how to run the non-normal checklist. So you really gotta, it's not something you do every time. And the other thing is, if you run one, let's say after takeoff, you have a malfunction. It's just amazing how beautiful that is. There's a funny thing that happens in that if you take off, your checklist over here doesn't know that you're going. So you're going to get the normal menu. You'll be on after takeoff checklist. You end up coming back in. So you have to go to normal checklist override. You set the altimeters to get through it. There's altimeters on here. You'd have to override successive checklists to which the override, you guys probably know that, right? Checklist override. Oh, the non-normal is still selected. That's going to be a problem. Hang on a second. Non-normal. What have I done? What have I done? Non-normal, I picked engines, right? And I picked, yeah, I don't know. Got a non-normal checklist, not complete. So you can go back up here, go checklist, there it is. And then it's evacuation, checklist override. And go normals. That's better. I saw the non-normal checklist light was on. I forgot I'd done that. So that's a good little exercise on how to run the checklist. We typically flew with the center blank. It was a philosophy that we used. That way, if anything popped up, oh, look at this over here. That's interesting. A little glitch there. I don't know what's happening there. Oh, we have malfunction. I forgot. FSiPanel periodically gives you a malfunction. So we've got, see this little box here? This is fantastic. I didn't know this happening, guys. It's telling you there's a non-normal essential, the checklist. So we would say, first time you get anything up here, you'd say, you designate who's flying. So I'm the pilot flying, I'd say, my aircraft. And the FO would say, Roger, your aircraft. And then they go in and he starts running the checklist. This is cool. Thank you, JP. All right, so we're going to go checklist. And there it is. Equipment cooling overboard. Let's start with generator off right. Let's go to the overhead. Yeah, we've lost the generator. Start with that. Generator off right. You read it. Generator off, right. You agree? And the guy would say, yeah, I agree. The generator control breaker is open. Objective, to reset the generator or use the APU to supply another source of power. That's your objective. Attempt only one reset. Right generator control switch, off then on. Remember, we don't do checklists. We don't do circuit breakers. Off, then on. Electric generator message blanks. No. Electric generator off message stays shown. Yes. APU selector start then on. You can start the APU all the way up to your max altitude 43.5. So let's go on the overhead. And we're going to start to generate the APU. This is not an emergency, guys. Not a mayday or a pan. Not a big deal. APU is starting. Letting it start on up. It's going right to this one. We'll come back and get that APU started. Equipment cooling. The equipment cooling system is in override mode. Wait 2 minutes. This allows time for any smoke in the system to
American
clear.
688, contact center 132.025. Bye-bye.
132.025. Bye-bye. American 688. Wait a minute. 132.025. And Washington, American 688 at flight level 340.
American 688, Washington Center, hello. You identify. Fly direct pack.
Direct pack, American 688. Good morning. Direct pack, we say, how does that look? All right, wait 2 minutes. This allows time for the smoke. So we've waited 2 minutes. Equipment cooling switch off, then auto. Overhead. Equipment cooling switch off. Then auto. And that message went away. Wait 1 minute. This allows for the system to reset. Equipment off, then equipment cooling override stays shown. No. So we fixed that one. Equipment cooling no. No. After 30 minutes of operation, low altitude ceiling and electronic equipment. Okay, that's good. So that's checklist is complete. But we still have left generator off, reset checklist. Did we ever finish that one? Yeah, I guess it likes it that we did. So both checklists are complete. If you want it to go away, you just hit this one. And when you
American 688, are you happy at flight level 340 or are you looking for higher?
We're happy at 340 for American 688. American 688 would like to maintain 340.
Roger, maintain flight level 340.
Maintain flight level 340 American 688. Guys, the reason I'm doing that, and the VNAV says our max, our recommended is 380, and the reason is I'm not satisfied with what I did there on the checklist. I want to make sure under non-normals, generator, electrical, generator off right, APU, it doesn't have an altitude, so we already did this one. So it doesn't have an altitude, so we can go up to 38. There is no limit. What I wanted to make sure is off and on, we did that. Electrical generator stays message blanks, no. It stays shown, yes. APU selector start, then on. And we did that, and that's good. APU is running. And there's no next page. Checklist override, we're done. All right. We could have accepted flight level 380. Let me see if I can do something. Let me see if I can
Roger, maintain flight level 340.
Yeah. So now I don't have the option of going up to 38 because we're an FSiPanel and I can't do it. I was hoping if I said, if I push the say again button, maybe I get the option, but I didn't. So we're stuck at 34. I just wasn't positive that that checklist was complete because usually I'll call it complete and that maybe it said maintain 350 or below. But certainly we were cleared up to our max altitude. So we'll just do it at 34. I think that's what we were flight planned for anyway, the whole way. Yeah, 34 the whole way. They didn't give us any step climbs, but in real life, I would come on now and request 38, and I'd be requesting 38 because that is our recommended. Our optimum's 38, recommended 38. So let's talk about max. Most guys will never go within 1,000 feet of max. It's 1,500 on the 200,000 on the 300 is what most guys won't do. The only time you do that is if you absolutely had to, just to get out of a situation, but it is tight. If you're up at max, you have a margin of about 10 knots either side of your speed, so you can be constantly into high speed or low speed buffet if you did that. So most guys don't mess with it. The 777-200 is engine limited. It's got a great wing, fine, but this 300 is wing limited. It'll climb like a beast right up to 34 and 30,000 at max gross weight. Coming out of India, out of New Delhi for Kennedy, the corridor in the Pakistani corridor between India and Pakistan, the Himalayan corridor, the min sector altitude was like 29,000 because of the mountainous terrain at 27. And our max altitude was, we took off, it was 29. By the time we get up there a little ways, it was 30. We were right on our max altitude. If we didn't go right near our max altitude, we didn't get out of there. There's nowhere to go. We'd have to go back to New Delhi. So in that case, if the ride was smooth, there weren't thunderstorms, we would go up to 30 and we'd hang right there near the max altitude. Not a great place to be because, like I said, high speed buffet's right there, low speed buffet is right there as well. So you really want to maintain, let's just call it 1,000 feet below your max on the 300. If you end up, when PMDG comes out with the 200, it'd be more like 1,500, 1,000. This one more like 1,500, honestly. But anyway, these engines will take you right up to 30,000 like a beast, but it runs out of wing, and there you sit at 30. The 200 doesn't climb quite as well up to its max altitude, but it'll go right up to a nice high altitude, even if you're going down to, let's say, Buenos Aires, 11-hour flight. Your initial altitude might be 34,000, 33,000, 35,000 even, whereas the 300 might be closer to like 31, 32. That's that. Yeah, so if you haven't flown with me, a little about me, because as my wife said, it's all about me. She didn't really say that. So, at 17 years old, 1976, I graduated from high school and went to the Air Force Academy. I was terrified. I thought certainly they got to have smarter guys than me there. Turns out I was right. Most of them were. Only like 60% of them, because I graduated in the bottom 40% of my class, so that was good. I was terrified. I got out there. They bust you out. Everyone, and I got on the plane in Chicago. I went from Providence, Rhode Island to Chicago. Got there. Of course, back then there weren't many airlines. It was a United flight, and they were flying into Denver, into Colorado Springs. When I got into the terminal area, all the guys had on like brown slacks, white shirt, black low-quarter shoes, which is what we were supposed to carry. And some of them on their belts had a calculator we were supposed to bring. And there were probably 40 of us on there. We got off the airplane. There was a nice guy with a sign, "Follow me, new cadets, welcome." We got on the bus. They put us in the hotel. I spent one terrified night in the hotel. They picked us up in the bus in the morning. They were very nice. They dropped us off And when we get off the bus, all you know what broke loose. Stand attention. I can't remember. They said your only responses from here on out will be yes sir, no sir. Sir may ask a question. Sir may make a statement. No excuse, sir. Do you have that? Yeah. And that's it. They brought you in. They shaved your head. Remember, this is back 1976. We all had long hair. Man, I was one sexy. No, I wasn't actually, but I had long hair. And they shaved your head. They took all your personal belongings, put you in a uniform, and started marching you around. Skinny little crew cut kid. 1,500 cadets from all around the United States, and in some cases the world, and the indoctrination began. The idea was to break down your individuality, make you into a team member, get rid of all that stuff you learned in high school and all that, those cliquey groups and the cool group and the not so cool group, and break you all down, and off you went. And there wasn't partying, there wasn't dorm parties or frat parties. It was all just strictly business. Sent us through basic training up in the mountains, and we did a slew of basic training, and we bonded and learned to work as a team. Guys would try to form cliques. It wouldn't work out. The cadre would get rid of that. Next thing you know, you were a freshman at the academy, and the terror had just begun. You ate at attention. You walked at attention. Yes sir, no sir. Sir may ask a question. Sir may make a statement. No excuse, sir, was the most common one. And that's what we did together. And we'd sit at attention at the table. We passed stuff down to the first class. It was insane. From a 17-year-old beer-drinking high school student to a robotic conformist sitting at the end of the table, it was a dramatic conversion. And at that point, you know, you're studying. The academics were, you loaded up with 21 hours, 24 credits a semester, and the fight began. Guys started failing out right away. Guys went on academic probation, military probation, walking tours up and down on the weekends in a ramp with their gun because they misbehaved. It was everything you see in the movies. I had two kids go to West Point, and those two kids, 30-something years later, I entered in 1976. First one entered in 2009. So what's that? 33 years later, it was exactly the same at West Point. Been some changes since then, and then my second son came in 2 years later. That was a trip down memory lane. Anyway, 4 years of that, you got increasingly more freedom, more responsibility. You ran the wing, you ran the squadrons, you did everything. You started flying. They gave you exposure to flying in T-37 planes. They checked you out for your initial screening on the T-41. If you did well militarily, you got to fly the hey, I'm just noticing this PMDG pen down here. These guys, unbelievable. The FO have one? Where's theirs? He's got two. He's got two. I've only got one. What in the? Come on. The heck. Not a kid. That's okay. Not sad. Yeah, so you graduated 4 years later. They did put you through a screening your summer between your junior and senior to see if you had an aptitude. They put you through a Cessna 172 course, which they call T-41 with Air Force instructors, and they screened you. Some guys flunked out of that. If you did real well militarily, you got to fly gliders in the summer. I never was high enough ranked. You had to be really high ranked militarily and academically to get that, and I never qualified. I did fine, but I was always in the middle of my class in both areas. Kinda in the middle. You know, the guy who finished last actually got an award. They called him Tail End Charlie, and everyone gave him a silver dollar. So at the end, we started off with $1,500. We graduated like 900 something. So at the end, he got $900. They flunked out, left. You know, everything was on a curve, so a lot of guys got kicked out. And you go to pilot training, Air Force pilot training, and another 30% failed out of that. So the road to pilothood was a bit treacherous. You could do 4 years at the Air Force Academy and end up running the maintenance division. There was a inherent risk there. You didn't get out of commitment when you flunked out of pilot training. But anyway, I thought you might be interested in that. So I did 7 years in the Air Force flying T-37s mostly, then tankers, and then I got out in 1987, joined American Airlines. 7-2 engineer in Boston, and then I went to New York, and still in end of 1987, the A300-600, did my training in Toulouse. I made a bunch of videos on the Indybuilds A300-600. One of them is in Toulouse. I just had a blast. So I was brand new hire, probationary pay with American Airlines, and I was in Toulouse with a 50-year-old captain, and I was a 29-year-old, a 28-year-old first officer, and they gave us a car. We trained at the Toulouse factory. We did all our sim training there, and then we didn't have a simulator back in New York yet.
Traffic.
Oh, cool. Just watch this guy. He's descending. He's 1,000 below and descending. The 3 things you might get there, right, is monitor vertical speed. That means do nothing. You might get a traffic and an indication here to climb or descend if it was something. If it was a TA would be nothing. TARA, you would have to, a resolution or advisory. A resolution or advisory, you would have to follow the commands. So autopilot off and follow the commands on the pitch bar. Notify ATC. That was cool. Anyway, and from there I went to the MD-11. I flew the Airbus for 5,000 hours, went to the MD-11 for 5 years, got a couple of thousand hours on that as a co-pilot, and then in 1997 they sent me to captain school on the Super 80. I was an instructor for American for a few years, then 9/11 hit, and I went over to the 7675 as a captain, 5,000 hours flying those planes, and then I got tired of being junior on that airplane after 14 years. So I went over to the 7.3 for 2 years, the NG and the Max, and got a couple of thousand hours there. And then I went to the 777 for my last 5 years. That's me. That's my career. No one at home wants to listen to it, so I figured I'd tell you. That's who I am. So I'm a good guy to teach you about this stuff. It's best I do it while it's still fresh in my mind. I just love the profession, but I got to tell you, for you guys starting out, the earlier you get started, the better, because it's a profession replete with ups and downs and hazards. I never got furloughed once. I got hired, I got stagnated, we went through a bankruptcy, a couple of mergers, the seniority goes up and down, but a lot of guys get furloughed, they lose their jobs, they go out, they end up in real estate, or they end up flying over in Saudi Arabia, cargo for a cargo operation away from home. So the earlier you get started, the better chance you have of riding that stuff out, the inevitable ups and downs of a career. There's a very fortunate few that don't have that. I was one of them. Very, very fortunate. There are guys way more blessed than me in terms of careers. They got hired right at the beginning of the hiring cycle. They were captains in 3 years. Of course, they're hiring like crazy now, and there's definitely a pilot shortage. Great job to you by PMDG. Great job. All right, how we doing on time and fuel? Enough of this crap here, huh? Mr. Talker. I don't usually talk this much in real life, guys. So, let's see where we are. We're coming up on Yeso, and we're 16 miles from there, so that's 2 minutes. We're burning 300 pounds per minute, so we're going to be there about 46.1. 46.1, what should we have had? Yeso. Roughly 21,000 less. Our release fuel was 61, so about 40,700, and we are going to have, as I mentioned, 46. So we're going to be about 5,500 above the 6,000 above the fuel curve. You know, in fairness, when I did the SimBrief flight plan, what I should have done is selected TFDi. I did the 777. TFDi, Jesus, I'm sorry guys, PMDG, and I didn't. So these fuel curves are going to be way, way off. Let me take a look at this thing. Let's have a total honesty. It's a 777W. All right, so let's take a look. PDF, right? So our release is 61.7. Let me go back here, edit flight, aircraft default, PMDG, generate flight. Remember 61.7. And this one is 65.3. So that PMDG looks like it has about a +6 cost factor on there. 61.7 on there, and this one is 65.3. So we'd be way ahead of the fuel curve, way ahead, because we would have taken off with 65.7. So those fuel curves, yeah, they're probably a little bit off. They're hard to get right, I'll tell you. They're not going to like me pointing that out. So you PMDG guys that are watching, I will be hurt if you go in. I know you know I'm very complimentary of your airplane, so you might be thinking you hurt my feelings, or maybe not. In the comments section, just write whatever you think. Where I'm right, where I'm wrong. Telling me you like my hair, what's left of it, anything you can come up with. But I'm here to learn. If you guys want to join my Discord page, it's particularly inundated at the moment with MD-11 and 777 guys because of my involvement with both having been on the TFDi team and the oh, by the way, PMDG team. I got a backdoor invite to it. We kind of wiggled our way in, and then they found out we're on TFDi, and they said, no, of course not. That's corporate security, so they didn't do it. But they gave me, anyway, they gave me some 737s.
American 688, stern left heading 180 for a short while due to opposite traffic.
American 688 left 180. All right, so 180 on the here heading. Get started. And there's 180. Heading select. That's what I asked for. That's what I got. It's on auto on the bank. If you saw 5 degrees here, you might have accidentally put the bank limit at 5. I know, guys, I'm talking a lot. You can mute me, but this is going to be story time with father time. Yeah, some guys would edit this down to a 20-minute video. My feeling is I don't stream. I don't particularly care for it because I'm not great with the computer. So if something goes wrong, I'm in the middle of the stream flailing. My guys always want me to do it, but I don't do it very often. So this is sort of like my stream without the ability to answer direct questions. So go to our Discord and do it, and ask me whatever you want. All right, so you didn't ask me. I'll tell you my most interesting issues on each airplane I've flown. Start with the with the airline. Start with the 7-2. You guys are gonna like this story. It's funny. So I'm right out of the Air Force, 7-2 engineer. They tell me I'm going to do my initial line operating experience with a Czech flight engineer to meet him in the Dallas operations office. So I get my brand new uniform on. I'm weighing about 180 pounds, 6 foot, ripped muscle, looking good. Long since that body's gone. But I get there, I'm all strapped, everything's typed, I'm looking Air Force sharp. He never shows up. So I go to the airplane.
American 688, you're cleared of the traffic. Resume all navigation direct York. This is Yankee Uniform Romeo Charlie Kilo.
Struck York, American 688. How does that look? Looks good. Execute. And what do you got to do? LNAV. That's what you asked for. That's what you got. And off we go. You're going to like the story. Hang on. It's embarrassing. It's not a flying story. So I go to the airplane. I'm actually soaked. I'm so nervous. But I go into the lavatory before I walk in the terminal, and I give myself a tuck. That's where you pull your pants down. We used to pull our shirts through our underwear. You military guys know what I'm talking about. Straighten out our shirts, what's against our waist. Line up our gig line, our fly, our belt, and our shirt. Everything's perfectly aligned. Tuck it in button the jacket, and walk on out to the airplane. I'm walking through the terminal. First time I've ever walked through the terminal in uniform. And the flight attendant, here they come. They're coming towards me. It's packed with people. I've been walking for about 5 minutes at Dallas. And I noticed people are paying a lot of attention. I'm thinking, wow, I'm an airline pilot. They must be really good. And these flight attendants are coming towards me, and one comes walking up, and I'm thinking, oh my God, first flight. And again, the flight attendant is interested in me. She comes, she goes, how you doing, sweetie? Are you new? And I said, well, yes, I am. And I said, it's my first flight. She said, okay, honey, I'm going to stand here. You might want to look down. And I took a look down, and I pulled the shirt through my fly, and I had starched my shirt. It was sticking out about this much, which for me that's 5 times longer than it should be. So it's out this far, and she stands there and blocks people while I tuck my fly back in and go to the airplane. Get to the agent, walk on the airplane. I'm thinking, what else is messed up? I'm going to redo my gig line. I drop my pants down. I take my shirt out, buckle my pants back up. I shut the cockpit door, open the cockpit door, turn around, start doing my thing, and look in the terminal, and a bunch of kids are right at the window. The airplane's like against the terminal, and the kids are standing there laughing. So 2 indecent exposures on my first trip with American Airlines. That was 7-2. Then I went to the Airbus A300. I told you about that. Went over to Toulouse. That was a fantastic experience. I took a chicken hawk and an engine on a takeoff out of Caracas, shelled the engine. We did a terrible job. Captain was flying. He did a terrible job. We came around and we're clearing a million. We should have done a visual. Didn't have a precision approach. He asked for the VOR, and we came in, and he went right down to MDA on a 8-mile final with the shelled engine, one engine. We were terrible. Did a bad job, but safe. People clapped, and they thought he was the greatest pilot ever lived. Then I went to the MD-11. I ground evacuated in 1995 out of Kennedy Flight 790, the inaugural MD-11 flight between Kennedy and Santo Domingo. We taxied out on 1 and 3, decided to start number 2 on the taxi out, and we got somebody outside said, hey, American, at Tango Alpha and Bravo, right when we came out today, by the way, they said, you have a fire in your number 2 engine. We looked, we didn't have any fire indications. The captain said, why don't you go ahead and shut it down? So I shut down the number 2. We stopped and we said, hey, how about now? And he said, he's not, ground said he's not behind you. And then a maintenance guy tacking the Gulf Air airplane said, yeah, American, you've got fire going right up your tail. It's big fire. So we grounded evacs, shut down the engines, and the captain said, hey Bobby. Back then they left the door open before we took off, and Bobby, the number 1, is 1995, came up. Of course, that's all changed since 2001. Came up and he said, yeah, he goes, hey, we may have to ground evac. We can't get a fire out. Just be ready. Bobby ran back there, hit the ground evac. We still had the number 1 and 3 running, and they started ground evacing. And the captain said, what are you doing? You shouldn't have started the evacuation. I said, I didn't. And so we shut down 1 and 3. We pulled the fire handles. We did it. We couldn't stop the evacuation. Guys were going. You could hear them screaming. The flight attendants back there going through their things. And we ground evac. The fire went out during the ground evac. The maintenance guys were on the wrong frequency. They couldn't tell us to stop the ground evac. And off we went. Slid down the slide. Captain, who was a smoker, smoked all the way through the cabin as he did his final walkthrough. Went down the slide. He was a gigantic man. And the firefighters were at the bottom of the slides because people were getting injured. MD-11 was certified with a cow catcher at the back, and in order to get 400 people off the airplane, it had to have a kickoff at the bottom so they didn't pile up at the end. And people were getting really hurt going down there. So the firefighters were waiting. Here comes the captain, and his feet go up in the air, and by now I was off the airplane. He's got a cigarette in his mouth, and the firefighters, he's got this big butt going towards him. They got out of the way. They weren't going to catch that. He skidded across the ramp on his butt, got up, cigarette still in his mouth. He's an old Vietnam guy, and great guy. I hope he's still alive, but he's a chain smoker. Probably he's going to live to 100. And that's the end of that story. That was the MD-11. Went to the Super 80 as my first captain job in '97. I eventually became an instructor pilot over there. That was quite the adjustment. I got over there, it was round dials. I would come off 2 consecutive FMS airplanes, the A300 and the MD-11, and I had to relearn to tune VORs and everything else. Shortly thereafter, we got a Pegasus on the airplane, right as they were starting to be integrated. So here's my Super 80 story. I went through captain school. The Pegasus was coming on. It was a 1 box. It was going to come on. They gave us training on a pink bulletin, which is just a piece of paper, in a little video at school. So I hadn't seen it, but I was an FMS guy but I flew with a Czech airman who had never flown with an FMS. He went from DC-10 to Super 80, and he was going to do my initial captain checkout. I finished my sims. Now, just 5 hours of checkout, the FAA can come on board for your initial one anytime. The FAA. The FAA was there on the first leg. We're taking off out of LaGuardia, going to Tampa. FAA's in the jump seat, and we have a Pegasus airplane, the only one at American Airlines. And we get out the card.
American 688 contact, Jacksonville 135145. Bye-bye.
3545, yeah, American 688. Wait, there it is. Easy for me to do, right? Jacksonville, American 688, flight level 340.
Good morning, American 688. You're identified. Continuous clear.
Continuous clear to American 688. All right, LNAV VNAV looks good. We do a fuel check here too. So anyway, we're doing it there now. The Czech airman had no idea how to do it. Because I was an FMS baby, it was a lot like the Airbus and the MD-11. They were similar. The Boeings are very different. The Airbus and the MD-11s are very similar on the FMS, so I was able to go through it pretty quickly. But the FAA was sitting there, and he goes, "What are you guys doing?" And the Czech airman said, "Well, sir, we've never seen this before. This is the only one American has. We had a pink bulletin on it in a video presentation, and here's the FAA going, I don't think I'm comfortable with this." That's exactly what he said. And I said, well, I've got a lot of FMS time, so I'm very familiar with this. I had it programmed, got it going. It wasn't pretty, but I got it between my knowledge and the card. And we take off out of LaGuardia. The weather was 250-foot ceiling, three-quarters of a mile visibility, right at Mins. We take off, go in the weather, and my PFD just goes away. It just goes. And so I say to the captain, the Czech airman, "Your airplane. I have nothing on my side. Your airplane." And he said, "Roger, my airplane." And the FAA is yelling. Now we're like at 300 feet. FAA is yelling, "I need to see you fly, Captain. I need to see you fly." And I said, "Well, I don't have anything." He goes, "I need to see you fly." So the Czech airman says, "You have the airplane." Now, not a good decision. So I'm flying cross cockpit at my first flight in the Super 80 with the Pegasus. I didn't understand. Well, the PFD comes back about 2,000 feet in. It flutters. It comes back into play, and we make our way down to Tampa. Somehow we figure out how to work everything, and we get down there and land. That's my Super 80. I'm getting there. From there, after Czech airman 9/11 hit, I have a 9/11 story. I was taken off on September 10th with a trainee. I was a Czech airman, and we were going to go to Dallas. And it was a beautiful night. Remember what September 11th was like? It was beautiful. And I commented to him, "I've never seen a more beautiful night in New York." We took off out of LaGuardia, flew down to Dallas, landed. I went to the hotel. I was going to deadhead home on a 7.5 at 6 in the morning. I do that. I get on the 7.5. We're taxiing out, and that's about 8 in the morning. And we're in between the runways, and the guy shuts down engines. And I said, "What are they doing? It's clearing a million. I just flew. I just got in 11 o'clock last night." And he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I have some terrible news." It was like 8 in the morning. And I didn't get to 6 a.m. because I slept in, got in too late. And he said, and I sat there thinking, how dramatic can he be? The ATC shut down, LaGuardia is delayed. What is it? And he said, approximately 5 minutes ago, an airliner hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center. And I am aware that this is a New York flight. Many of you had people that work in New York City or even at the World Trade Center. I'm authorizing you to get your cell phones out of so they did. 2001, they grumped up, they got the cell phones, people were crying, screaming. and we taxied to the gate, and I flew back 5 days. There's a lot more stories in there, but that was mine. A terrible situation. But anyway, that was mine. I flew back 5 days. I flew the inaugural flight back into LaGuardia for American Airlines out of Dallas with passengers, and flew up the Hudson on the river visual there, and to runway 22 with the smoking towers off to the right, and the flight attendant said you could have heard a pin drop there for the landing, for the deplaning. No one said a word. People were terror struck. It was pretty amazing. That's Super 80 story 7675. My most incredible fleet. It was my favorite fleet prior to joining the 777 world. 76200 we had. It was a piggy, but it was nice. 300 was beautiful cruiser, something like this. And the 75, of course, was sexy airplane, powerful. Performance was just tremendous. That was great. The only story I probably have on that's worth mentioning was my last one. My last flight, I was going over the 7-3. I had it with international flying. I've been doing it for 20-something years. And I was taking off out of Zurich, and we got a vibration passing through 250 knots that almost took the airplane apart. First we thought, is this turbulence? But as we accelerated, the airplane shook and shook and shook. Brought back the power, declared a mayday, got vectors back to Zurich, and when we passed back through 250, the bouncing went away, the turbulence went away. Accelerated back to 250, Terrible's violently shaking, started dumping fuel, got permission, you got to dump above 7,000 feet. We jumped down to close to max landing weight, and came back in and did a kind of a crappy landing in Zurich, taxied to the gate, and it turned out that the elevator actuator was out of sync, and it was basically fluttering the airplane out there. And here's the story that's funny. It's not. The crew that brought the airplane in had the same thing happen to them, and they continued on to Zurich, and brought us the airplane, never wrote it up because it went away at around 25,000 feet. How's that? Went from there, went to the 7-3, and I was supposed to be a check airman on the 7-3. Decided not to do that. They weren't treating them very well then, and just did my 2,000 hours over there, the NG, and at the end the Max. I loved it. I thought it was a great airplane. It was just a Boeing. It flew just like the 75, 76. Everything was where it should be. The Boeings, in a sense, it had the toggle switches because of Southwest being the launch company, but high performance airplane, fast final. People complain about it. It's got a small cockpit, and I'm a pretty big guy, and that was tough getting in there. Kind of got to slide in like a ballerina. Once you're in there, though, you guys hungry? Want me to call back and get us some coffee and something to eat? Hold on a second. Hey, Donna, how you doing? Yeah, it's Captain Richard. Yeah. Hey, what do you got to eat back there? What kind of ice cream? Do you have any? Yeah, whipped cream, butter, butterscotch, and nuts. Yeah, and I'll have the fish, and he'll have the steak, and 2 coffee. Guys, if I ever called back and treated them like that, they'd come up and give me a super wedgie. Now you call, you have the utmost respect and say, hey, is it a good time to talk to you? I mean, you really had to. So I was just being like one of the old captains. So anyway, that's that drama. That example out of the way. Okay, so 7-3. Favorite story in 7-3 is it's a pilot story, kind of a cool one. Going into Santa Ana with the weather right at Min's 5,000 foot runway, and we saw the lights at 100 feet, at 200 feet, like you have to, and we saw the runway at 100 feet, and touchdown rolled out, and then that was a HUD, so we had a 50-foot decision height. But yeah, we came in, tiny little runway, lights at 100, I mean at 200, and right at 100, we started picking up the runway, and we touched down and bringing it. One of my proudest moments as a pilot, I Actually did a nice job. Pretty pleased myself. Then I went to 777 and flew that for 5 years. Got a couple thousand hours over there. Flew it all around the world. My European destinations that I flew, of course, London, Paris, Madrid, Barcelona, Milan, Rome, New Delhi, India, Doha, Buenos Aires, Sao Paulo, Rio. Oh, where else did I go? There's a bunch of more. Oh, Brussels. Never did do Zurich on it. We did Athens, Tel Aviv. Anyway, you get the idea. On the 7.6, I get into some of the smaller cities, which was great. It was mostly 7.5 flying with all those that I mentioned. A lot of those that I mentioned. Then Manchester, Birmingham, Edinburgh. Got into some pretty cool places. For a little while, we did Warsaw. A little while, we did Lyon. And never made it to Asia, India, but never really went to Tokyo on it, or Korea, Australia. I would love to have gone any of those places. I didn't do it. The plane flew there. I just never had the opportunity to do that. My favorite 777 story was probably my last flight. I have a video on my website. It's actually, if you go to my website, it's now the video you come to with some Willie Nelson's music on there and things. But took my beautiful wife, wonderful wife, to Paris with two of my best friend co-pilots, flight attendants. I knew a couple of them, but generally I didn't. And they all went out to dinner with us. A couple of them brought their husbands, and we had an incredible dinner. And then we went for drinks at the Hilton overlooking the Eiffel Tower. You'll see us riding the elevator up there in the video. And then when I came home, to my surprise, my wife had arranged a retirement party. My kids were all there, all 6 of my kids, their spouses, my grandkids. You'll see those all in the video as well. It was the most emotional moment in my life, really, other than having children born, quite honestly, was when I came home and they were all there. They live all around the United States. We don't see them anywhere nearly enough, even in retirement. I miss them a lot. But anyway, they were all there, and you'll see that we had quite a nice time. And then they left, and it was time to retire. And here I am. This is my. I don't golf. I should, but I don't. This is my retirement hobby. Anyway, that's enough stories for now. Let's take a look at the box. We're landing 59, so we're at 1700. About an hour and 10, an hour and 17. Be touching down. I don't know where FSiPanel is planning on sending us. We'll take a look at the arrival. Taxi gates. American gates, if JP knew. Not sure he does. Way down here, huh? Whatever reason, I did something wrong. I used to say I don't know why they did that, and then I realized it's always me. We're going to land to the east. Normally we'd come in this way. We'd land on either 12 or 8 left. Sometimes, not 9, coming from this way, they don't bring you all the way around. That's usually coming from the south or the east or the west. Here it's either 8 left or 12. Our gates are all in here. This whole D concourse is American Airlines, anywhere in here. So naturally, 8 left is a short taxi in. Usually get off at Lima 9, almost straight in. There's even gates all around the back here. Like I said, I haven't flown this profile, so I don't know what JP has planned for us. I noticed there isn't a frequency for Kennedy Ramp. We would have to normally contact them before taxiing in. But these are all these Delta gates, D gates. D gates are American Airlines. The arrival that we're flying, I think it's the Coastal Yep, Coastal 2 Alpha, RNAV, arrival. I'll figure 8 left. Ormond Beach, Melbourne. Let me see here. Where does it pick in? Let me make sure I've got the correct arrival. That was done from memory there. I'm not positive. It's yeah, the Coastal 2 off the Debral. That's the wrong one. There's Debril. Pardon me while I mispronounce things. Okay, can't get jugging. I'm looking for Debril. Remember, I didn't load this, so I'm gonna make sure something here. Coastal. There's Debril there, 34. Espresso at 24. Espresso at 24. Resic at 280 and above 15. Mojada at above 13. Above 13. Coastal below 16. Below 16. Yakko below 13, below 13. Ziggy at 250 and 11, 250 and 11. Bien Fish at above 11. Optin at 230 and 11. Oh, that's going to the other way. Bluefish. Fendi above 11, Gucci, Harch, Porsche above 8, Dahala above 6, Dahala above 6, and Blitz at 5. And Blitz at 5,000. 5,000 bottom altitude. Approach will plan on probably ILS to localizer 8 left. Not sure which one they're going to give me. We'll have to see, but we'll take a look at that. Let me get the MDA set up just because that's what takes the longest in any of these sims. 440. All right, 440 is set. They send us to 1-2. Up connection's lost, it's okay. 377 on the ILS, 306 feet. It's pretty far up there in the ILS. The forecast weather for Miami, as I mentioned, the PA is 340 at 14, 10 miles. Few at 3,500, scattered at 8,000. Temperatures 22, dew point 16. 3028 with no significant weather. We usually preset the, I'm not going to do it here because it'll change altitudes, the weather to 3028 is the altimeter. Anyway, that's that, and we're about an hour from landing. I usually make a PA. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Captain Richard just to update you on our flight status. We should be touching down in 1 hour. Still about the gate about 15 minutes early. So for those of you making connections, there'll be monitors right outside the gate for you to check your connecting flights, or as a flight attendant will advise you, you can check those via AA.com using your wireless internet connection on the airplane. Weather in Miami, it's still very nice. winds are out of the north at 15 miles per hour. Excellent visibility, 8,000 scattered, which is a nice high ceiling, and it's presently 77 degrees, about 25 degrees Celsius. I'll be turning the seatbelt sign on in about 25 minutes, so if you had the need to get out of your seat, this will be your last opportunity to do so. Thank you. Kind of a little update. It also gives them an opportunity to, that if they're holding off trying to save, they're going to the bathroom, they might want to start now. If you knew that the descent was going to be bumpy into New York, into Miami, you probably would let them know you'd be getting the seatbelt sign on here shortly. There were some rain showers in the vicinity of Miami, and we're anticipating some light choppy air on the ride in, so the seatbelt sign will be on. So now would be a good time to get up and use the lavatories if you had the need to. That's about it. If that were the case, you call back, brief the flight attendants on the same thing. We do have a maintenance write-up. Go recall, cancel, electrical generator off. We'd write in the book that the generator is inoperative. We'd also, there's a way, I don't know if it's modeled here, go com to contact dispatch and let them know, this company, let them know you can do that, you're going to be coming in with a write-up. We'd send that to them. Hope you're enjoying this, guys. How long have we been at this? 2 hours and 1 minute of constant chatter. Hang on 1 minute. I'm gonna pause this for my voice for 1 minute. So this is my some movie star that was riding in the back. Invited him to come up and visit the cockpit. Something we haven't really done much since 9/11, but pretty famous, so I thought I'd let him come up. But looks a lot like me, I know, but you know, that's actually my retirement poster that was at the end of my driveway when my wife and I came home from Paris. That was my first indication that something was going on. Retirement. Anyway, I bring this guy around for across the pond to sit in for me when I'm doing things like that, long flights. Allows me to go out there. He's not much help.
American 688,
a lot quieter than me,
center, 128, board 625. Bye-bye.
128, 625 for American 688's here. He did pretty good there. All right, so enough of that. I got to get busy here. I'm not crazy. 128, 65. 128, 65. This sounds like it's Jacksonville. And Jacksonville, American 688 at flight level 340.
American 688, good morning. Proceed direct to Deborah. This is Delta Echo Bravo Romeo Lima.
Direct Deborah for American 688. How's that look? And what we do really in real life is we check it here. Make sure it's going to Deborah. How's that look? Good. Execute LNAV. That's what you asked for. That's what you got. I should have done a beam points too for fuel checks, but we're so far ahead on the fuel. I'm not worried about that. Now, the way we do it in the cockpit is we'll say, how does that look? Other guy says good. Or usually what they'll do is they'll look down and they'll say, you want a beam points. So if you were to do direct Ketzer, I say, how's that look? And they'll say, you want a beam points? They'll say, oh, yeah, thanks a lot. But anyway, that's that. And we know Jabril, we just briefed that. It's the start. We checked the star. We checked the taxi. We don't know what gate we're going to. I don't think that was on the lesson plan. Frequencies. For departure, make sure to be Conquer Sea Gate 47. Have a safe trip to Miami. Feedback, approach. This is cool. Hey, here's one. You may experience a light failure in cruise. For the Phoenix and 777, just follow the electrical checklist. For the APUs, you might when 20 minutes on top of descent, pick up the ATIS and update your FMS, MCU if required. And Miami can use ILS or the RNP approach. We might get either one. Initial climb clearance, so there's no indication what gate. I just know that American uses the Delta concourse. And we're set up right now for the localizer 8 left, but that's a non-ILS. So we can fly that with the same procedures as we use for our RNAV approach. It's a non-ILS. I made a video of that, but it's basically 2 buttons, 2 windows. When you clear for the ILS, for the localizer, you go 2 buttons are LNAV, VNAV, speed intervene, 2 buttons, 2 windows, then dial in the minimums. 2 buttons, LNAV, VNAV, 2 windows, speed intervene, dial airspeed in, and then dial down the altitude. That actually works for like the MD-11. 2 buttons would be profile and nav, 2 windows would be speed intervene in the minimums. Same thing. That works probably for most aircraft. Someone asked me the other day, why do we set on page 4, set 125 in here? I'll show you. And then this is, it's probably not going to like that. Unable RNP because we're too far up, yeah. So what that is on final, that controls, that gives you, I should have got rid of that, it did. Unbelievable. You're going to have a vertical track indicator over here. That makes it plus or minus 75 feet, which is required on the RNAV. By putting in 125 there, it subtracts 50, and it makes it plus or minus 50 on the box, 175 either side. That's why you do that on final. You also on page 4 would put in normal RNAV is 0.3. If there's anything below 0.3 all the way down to 0.11, which is our minimums, you put that in here. So let's see if we can find something below at Miami. I don't know if they have any. Let's say 9 RNAV GPS. I want to say RNAV RNP is our best choice. So RNAV GPS, that's not going to be a 0.1 because it's a GPS. That's a 0.3. And you can see it's a 3-degree glide path. Maybe the, if for some reason we got the RNAV RNP here. Zulu. It's not listed, it's 0.3, guys. It's not listed. How about Yankee? Oh, there you go. 0.11. It was probably on Zulu too. Nope. So it's 0.3. The Yankee goes all the way down to 0.1. If you can get down to 0.1, if you're qualified, you're 397. If you're not, or you can't get confirmation, it's 46. So the way, if you want to go below 0.3, you have to get a flight reliability check from dispatch. What you do is send them a free text message, or sometimes on the flight plan, that the satellites will be operative for the period that you're doing the approach. It's called a satellite reliability check or something like that. So that's if you're below 0.3 and go down to 0.1. But that's what you put in the box. You put in 0.1. I don't want to do it here. We'll get unable RNP. So that's for the vertical, and that's for the lateral. So we would put in 0.11 and 125 on page 4. I just want to, just in case we did an RNP, I want to have time to know that. And we're planning on doing, as I mentioned twice, 0.83 transition to 314. Speed's 240 at 10 if you want to make it 250 at 10, right? So it doesn't go there, because most of the time ATC expects you to be doing 250, not 240. Man, I had some misconnects on my fingers, didn't I? Okay, so when are we starting the descent? Let me see here. right here, that's 160 miles. That's 20 minutes. That's 8 miles a minute. So 20 minutes we start our descent. So we definitely would want, if there's going to be bumpy, we'd want everything put away by then, make a PA. Sometimes you got to scare them a little bit. Just say it's going to be a little bumpy going in. Well, really what you're doing is picking your way around thunderstorms. So naturally you never want to fly in thunderstorms. I don't know, you know, I'm just pretty new on this airplane. Do we have an operative radar here? Weather push turbulence, weather push turbulence. I don't think it's modeled just yet. There it is, 0.1 down. We'll just keep that radar on for the duration of the flight. Look outside. Incredible job. It's like home, guys. Every time I see it, it's strange. It's family. Little things like, all right, until I worked with the TFDi project, I didn't appreciate any of this. I didn't appreciate that little light flashing. I didn't appreciate any of that. What it took to make all this work. I didn't appreciate contrails. There's no jet blast there. None of it. See that door open? That's because we have the APU running. Then normally that's closed. Back when we were, when I got hired in 1987 with American, the outflow valve on the 7.2s was right there. In fact, that's where it is, right? There would be tar and nicotine, thick black tar going all the way up the tail, like that, for the cigarette smoking on the airplane. People smoked on the airplane. Here's a funny story for you, because God forbid I shut up. I don't usually talk this much, guys. I'm going to call this one story time with Father Time, so I'm just kind of filling it up with stuff maybe you guys would be interested in. Okay, so I hired in 87. I don't know when they got rid of smoking on the domestic flights, but they did. When they get rid of smoking on the domestic flights, all the flight attendants and pilots who smoked transferred over to international. The flight attendants, because the pilots were still allowed to smoke in the cockpit because they didn't want them to be nervous, so they allowed the pilots on domestic flights to smoke in the cockpit. You can imagine how much the smoking passengers appreciated that when they smelled the smoke and they were having cigarette cravings. Remember, this was before e-cigarettes or before any kind of artificial stuff they could have been using. So, but passengers on international flights could still smoke as well as crew members. Then they decided, no, passengers on international flights could not smoke either. But the cockpit still could. So all those flight attendants who smoked would come to the cockpit and smoke there. It wasn't uncommon for me to have 8 or 10 smoking flight attendants and one smoking captain on the same flight, and taking turns coming up to have a cigarette. Then they decided, no, you know what? Nobody can smoke anywhere on the airplane. I don't know what year that was, like 96, 97. And the flight attendants and the pilots would take wet towels, put them at the base of the door, and smoke anyway. And the passengers would smell it. And they knew nowhere on the airplane should anyone be smoking. And the passengers, the call bells would start ringing. They wanted to know who was smoking. Man. Anyway, that's all stemmed from me talking about the tar coming out of the outflow valve up the tail on the 727. Look at that. It's a contrail. Pretty amazing. Take a look around. Do a little fuel check. So we're about 20 miles from DeBril. That's when the star starts. That's 2.5 minutes, 300 pounds a minute, roughly 700 or 800 pounds. We're going to be down around 33.5 at DeBril. In the fuel
American 688 clear the coastal to RNAV arrival.
Go to coastal to RNAV arrival for American 688. Okay, where were we? 35 public map, DeBril. There it is, DeBril. 36.6. 36.6 in the fuel. So roughly 36.6, roughly that. So roughly 29,000. And we're going to have 33 something. So we're about 4,000 pounds above the plan. But remember, they were supposed to have an extra few thousand pounds on if we had done that. Is that true? Let me see something here. 65, 36, 65. Yeah, 29. All right, so it's pretty close. A few thousand pounds. What am I talking about, right? Only problem with you sitting here doing the stream of consciousness thing is the opportunity for misspeak, especially as I get tired, get more and more. All right, when are we starting down? Up here, that's at 120 miles. 120 miles divided by 8 is 15 minutes. Be starting down. Right about in here, we usually call back and ask for a bathroom break. Ding dong. Yeah, hey Donna, it's Jeff. Any chance, would it be a good time for us to use the lavatories? Yeah, thanks a lot. Now when we're taking a lavatory break, they have to come up here. It takes them a while to put the cart, do the security items. They need multiple flight attendants up there, and then they come up to the cockpit, and there's a bunch of security measures since 9/11. So it's not as easy as we used to be able just to go back and open the door and go back there and go to the bathroom in the lavatory. Oh boy, the changes I've seen. Retirement's great, guys. The only downside of retirement, it means you've gotten old. So they made me retire at age 65. If they had gone to age 67, I absolutely would have flown till 67. If they had gone to age 70, I would have done it, and that would not have made my FOs happy. Reason is money, really. Now my second marriage, everything's fantastic in life, but you know, it's money, and I enjoyed it. However, having said that, the fact that they made me retire is the best thing that happened to me. I feel so much better, and it's the jet lag. I'm not up all night flying, you know, from New Delhi in the cockpit for 20 hours sometimes when it's all said and done, sleeping for 2 or 3 hours at a time on your break. You come home, you're all upside down. By the time you start feeling like yourself, it's time to go back and do it again. And it just is cumulative. It runs you down. Not to mention when you're in the North Atlantic, in New Delhi we did have a North Atlantic portion, you're flying at those high latitudes, you're going to have some exposure to radiation. I forget how many chest x-rays it is for a crossing far north, but you got the solar flares going off, you got the northern lights, radiation all over the place. That's why I have to laugh when you go to the dentist and they put a lead vest on you while they take an x-ray of your jaw. It's like, hey guys, don't bother. Yeah, I'm fried. I'm nuked. Pilot's lifespan is shorter than the average in the United States case American. I think it's down around 76, where the average American now I think is up near 78 or 79. and it's largely due to lifestyle. When I got hired, smoking and drinking were huge with the World War II guys, the Vietnam guys. And when I retired...
American 688, contact Miami,
not really.
126.325.
Miami, 26325 for American 688. 126325. 126325, thank you, George. In Miami, American 688, a flight level 340.
American 688, Miami. Good morning. Coastal 2 arrival, runway 09.
Coastal 2, expect the runway 09 for American 688. Good morning. All right, so runway 09, which is not what we usually do because we're coming. Let me do something here. We'll do ILS 09. Coastal 2. Runway 09 from Coastal. Oh yeah, it's going to come down this way. Is it? All the way out? Okay, so let's go in here. Let's go arrival, departure. Oh no, he put in the 9. Who's better than him? Who's better than him? So thank you, JP. So runway 9 is just not a runway we ever usually get coming from this direction. ILS to 9, Coastal 2, 208's the decision altitude. Not easy to get the correct angle here, is it? Yeah, it's funny. I've had so many hours on this airplane, and I was flying it to India 10 months ago, and my mind now is working like the MD-11. When I was in the flight sim world starting it, I really came in to fly the World War II fighters, old airplanes. Never thought I'd be flying the transport category. And then someone told me, hey, have you ever thought of flying the PMDG 777? I was on the P3D platform, because you can do that. And I said, oh sure, that'd be cool. So I did. I went over there. I downloaded P3D. I learned how to work P3D. And what I noticed, I was doing Microsoft Flight Simulator too, what I noticed is that I had one heck of a time going to work flying all these different airplanes. So I just stuck exclusively with the PMDG 777 on P3D until I retired. Once I retired, I got rid of P3D and I waited for this airplane to arrive on Microsoft Flight Simulator, and lo and behold, here we are. But somewhere in there I got involved with TFDi, and I've been flying the MD-11, and I also didn't bother doing any 777 stuff because this thing wasn't out. So right now I'm in the testing phase with TFDi. I'm very loyal to them, so I'm happy to fly mostly MD-11 stuff, but I'm trying to run over here and grab some 777 time when there's a break in the action over there, because it's my favorite plane in the whole world and near and dear to my heart. This cockpit looks just like our cockpit. This is where the FC would sit, or the relief captain. This is where the FB would sit, food boy. And if there's an FC, 3 FOs, they called him the film critic. So that was a food boy, that was film critic, or a relief captain if you were over 16 hours for our union. And that's what we had on Delhi. We had an extra captain there. You can't see anything from that seat. This is a fully functions, our ACARS radio, a fully functional radio that you can use. The FO, well, VHF3 is a radio. See, it's in data. There's a control head for him. They use that usually when they land. They talk to ramp. When you have an emergency, you always remember, if while you're in the cockpit, I had this guy and this guy work the problem, or if I'm flying, we would work the problem. And these guys, he'd become the communications manager. He'd call the company, call different things. He'd do the outside communications and fly the airplane. And if I was pilot monitoring, he and I would work the problem together, make sure we get the right engine. Kind of broke it down like that. It was interesting. If for some reason there's a Debril, you check the fuel, looks good, up 4,500, we'll say, and right on time. All right, we're 40 miles from the top of descent, which is 5 minutes. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. Tell your friends, join the Discord, get the FSiPanel, get PMDG 777, get the TFDi MD-11. I know, that's a ton of money. This is one expensive hobby. I think I have $10,000 invested in this. When I said I don't make any money, YouTube, a little guy like me that's making 2,700, 2,800 subscribers, I've made, since I started streaming a year ago, I'm up to $350. I haven't got paid for it yet because I set it at 500, but I'll get my first paycheck sometime. You don't make much when you're small-time streamer, but I'm not doing it for that. I give back airframes to the people that help me out a lot on the Discord. It's been a couple I've given them, one guy in particular. I give it back to the community. Although my wife's saying she's put up with so much with me doing this that, so when you get that first paycheck, you know, from YouTube, putting that little baby into a special account, when you hit $10,000, I'll stop complaining about the amount of money you spend on your hobby, which isn't true. She actually never complains. She's glad I'm in the basement, not upstairs. All right, coming in nicely. Yeah, I considered chopping this video up and making it into a 20-minute flashier video. I'm not really good at it, number one. Number two, a lot of guys do that. What do I bring to the table? I'm the real deal. I am the real 777 captain. I've done it for four decades. I have a lot to offer. I bring that to the table.
American 688, report ready for descent.
American 688, we'll call you ready for descent. That's a new one. That's a new one. Normally you have to answer that, so now I'll be able to, he must be waiting for the second transmission. If I click my mic right now and said nothing, he'd probably give me descent. If they give us descent in accordance with the star, we'll put 5,000 in as the bottom altitude. It says reset MCP altitude. It's telling you it wants to descend, but if you take a look on here, we're still a ways from the top of the descent. We're 13 miles. So that's about a minute and a half. No, my wife's real good about this hobby. It's been fun. It's extremely rewarding. This community, this flight sim community is phenomenal. So supportive. To deal with guys from all over the world, from Australia to India, Africa, everywhere, has been such an honor. On my channel, I have some guys my age, former airline pilots, current airline pilots, current MD-11 pilots, current maintenance guys for major airlines, doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, you know, it's all good. All right, so I'll tell them I'm ready. And American 688 is ready for descent.
Roger, American 688, descend via star, flight level 240.
American 688, descend via the star, flight level 240. All right, so we come up here. We're in VNAV. So all I got to do is put in 240. set, so we know that it knows it's going to do that. There's the top of descent. We'll let it just fly it. Here it comes. It's retarding the throttles. Starting to descent. We're in VNAV path. If you open this window, it goes VNAV speed. Close this window, VNAV path. Let's go to ATIS. Radios. ATIS. Hey guys, anything that you got?
Station Echo. Wind 34015 knots. Visibility 10. Cloud view 3,000 feet. Scattered 8,000 feet. Temperature 24 dew 0.18. This is Miami Airport Information Echo. Wind 34015 knots. Visibility 10. Cloud view 3,000 feet. Scattered 8,000 feet. Temperature 24 dew 0.18. Altimeter 3028. Expect RNP approach 09. Vacate runway via uniform or Tango 8. Hold short of runway 30. Advise on initial contact. You have Information Echo.
Alright, that's interesting. That's RNAV. We hadn't briefed that. That's good. We'll get the chance.
This is Miami Airport Information Echo. Wind 34015 knots. Visibility 10.
So a couple of things we picked up there. They're important, right? Where we echo. So we got 9. That's not our approach. We're going to do RNAV GPS. And here we go. It's 12/3, 17 March 23. So first thing, let's go to the box. Put in...
American 688, descend via star, 1,000 feet, altimeter 3028.
Descend via star, 1,000 feet, 3028, American 688. All right, 1,000 feet. Descending via the star. Now, what typically we do, guys, is whoever's pilot monitor 1,000 is set. That's what you asked for. That's what you got. RNAV. So I'm going to go departures arrival. Oh, RNAV 9. RNAV 9. Execute. Insufficient fuel. Why? Oh no. That shouldn't have done that. So that should not have done that. So direct YAPA. I'm sure I did it wrong, guys, but don't know how. Direct YAPA. There it goes. So now we're above. That's good. This will give us an opportunity to show how to get down back onto profile. Flight level change. Throttle's coming back. When we get back in here, I'll do VNAV. Yeah, usually you should be able to select the approach, but it also resubmitted the star. I haven't been off that long. And if you take a look here, coming down nicely, I can actually expedite it. I've got to be at 280 at RESIC, so we're taking it over manually here. It's descending nicely. Here it comes. I'll brief the approach here in a minute, guys. I want to get it back into RNAV. It's a good example, good way to see how to do it. So right now we have the speed brakes out. It's coming up nicely. Coming up, coming up, coming up. Here it comes. When I get to around 200 below, I'm going to go up, speed brakes, and VNAV it. And we're back in path, just like that. I don't know why it did that, but it did, so it doesn't really matter. RESIC, we've got to be at 280, and it's doing that RNAV path, so it should do all of that for us. All right, back to our approach. RNAV 9, GPS, let's get the minimum set. That's the most challenging thing, right? 426. Why did I bother setting them? Getting ready on the 18. There's a 280 going back while I do my monster slew. It's not asking for more drag, so evidently it's got no problem doing it. Still in path, looks good. Everything looks good. I think it might be asking for some drag here. What a drag. Yeah, drag required. I got a little speed brake out. There we go. And altimeters. .3028 set 1, 2, 3 times, and we continue to set our minimums. And we're good on the drag now. We can pull that up. No longer says more drag. 426, 413, most difficult part of the flight. Someone told me I think I could scroll with my scroll wheel, be a lot faster, but then you wouldn't get to enjoy seeing me do this. So altimeters are all set. We can do a descent checklist here. Recall, remember we had the generator, so we're expecting that. And we actually say recall and clear. We mention that to each other, that's it. Any notes that you have to do, a lot of times you have procedures, there's blue notes you have to do before landing. Auto brakes are, we'll just go to...
American 688, contact approach 124.85.
2485 for American 688. And 2485. And approach American 688 is passing 14,000 for 11,000 information echo.
American 688 and Miami approach, good morning, you're identified. Descend via star 8,000 feet, altimeter 3028, and expect RNAV 09.
Okay, descend via the star down to 8,000 feet, altimeter 3028, and expect runway RNAV 09 for American 688. It says it's having trouble maintaining the glide path and 280, so it asks for a little more drag, so we put that in there. Alright, so guys, it's the RNAV. It's not RNAV RNP, so it's 0.3 is fine. We do have to go to the box. Go to Prague, page 4. And put in 125 here. We can leave 0.3 will come in over here. That's going to be assumed on final. If you wanted to, you could put it in now. Not necessary though, but we'll do it. Okay, speed brakes can come up. We're doing good. It's flying a nice RNAV arrival. You can see the bars here for the RNP. It's telling us it can't do that narrow on 0.3, a 125 this far out. That's all it's telling us there. All right, auto brakes are 2, landing data, and approach brief will do. Normal checklist. Altimeters are set. Normal. Okay, at or above 11, it's doing good. It's on the speed. Landing data. How do I do this? Miami International, import from operational flight plan. Oh, runway 9. Aircraft. Import weather. Calculate. 11,000 landing distance. That's quick turn weight. That's wrong. Landing weight, we're down. See here? Wait 554, lane this quick weight turn in, and then nah, we're down around 6,000 runway length. So I've done something wrong with the weight here. Runway heading 09, dry 7, runway length 13. That's not right. Okay, you guys can tell me what I did wrong when you get a chance. All right, now Miami typically holds you up really high on downwind, then dumps you on in. I don't know if JP simulated that here. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Captain Richard. We're well into our descent into Miami. The weather in Miami, it's presently 78 degrees, around 26 to 25 degrees Celsius. Winds are out of the north at 15 miles per hour. We'll be touching down here in about 15 minutes. Have you at the gate about, as I mentioned earlier, 15 minutes early. I'm turning the seatbelt sign on now in preparation for landing. Please return to your seat and fasten your seatbelts. Once again, thank you very much for choosing American Airlines. Seatbelt sign is on. All right, that's all good. All right, we're still in path. It's doing its thing. Our next box is right here. At or above 11 and 250, no problem. Yeah, they kind of take you, and then you do this high downwind. I don't know if they're going to simulate it, and then they dump you into 9. So you got to kind of be on your toes. All right, so we got the RNAV GPS runway 9, 12-3, 17 March 23. We've got the ATIS, we got the weather. Got leg at 4, grit at 3, INIS at 1500. Grit at 3, INIS at 1500. There we go, leg. We don't have leg on there. I guess I could put it on there. That's pretty far out. LLEGG. His leg. Get my airplanes mixed up. No, that's not completely accurate. There should be discontinuity in there, but we're okay. The way I would do it is to reselect the approach. Leg is a transition, which was one of the options, and it would put that discontinuity in there, but I don't trust it. It might put the whole star in there. I just don't feel like dealing with it. I'll know that we're going to be radar vectors in there. That would not clear direct leg after that point. And INIS at 1500.
American 688, descend via star 5,000 feet.
American 688, descend via star 5,000 feet. 5,000. All right, so we got 426 set. We got the weather, obviously. And then if you go to the briefing strip here, you got Pappy's on the left. Mauser lighting. They had a little issue for us. 10-9. We're landing on runway 9. And they wanted to exit via Uniform or Tango 8. Uniform or Tango 8. We'll see about that. That's plenty of runway to do that. But we're supposed to go all the way to Concourse T. I don't know. As I mentioned, JP's not from American Airlines. He probably doesn't know we're at Delta. He might send us here closer. It might be a long taxi around to Delta Concourse. So right now, if I told him that, he'd probably do it. Yeah, so if you take a look here, I've kind of messed it up. We got the arrival. It's coming up over the field to blitz. And then it's radar vectors after that. That tells you they're prepared for landing. And I should have got the lights on, shouldn't I? And I should definitely have gone the chime. Flight attendants, prepare for landing, please. And right now it's in the at or above 8 phase. Right here. And 250 all the way. Yeah, so I just have to make sure we don't make that turn towards leg. Now that I put a discontinuity in there. Yeah, I don't trust it to do it over again. Not the time. I'll just go heading select if I have to. Fun. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Yeah, we're going to be up over 3 hours. Consider it like a stream that I will timestamp it. Unlike a stream, I'll get it timestamped, and you guys will be able to jump around. Lots of stories, a little bit of 777 stuff in here. Stuff that I remember, stuff that I don't. It's fantastic, fantastic airplane. A great job by PMDG. Great job. Super impressed. Just am. All right, let's get that heading around so we're ready to go. I could probably use my little handy dandy. Cool. I had Jimmy Carter right about this position. I came out of Santo Domingo. By the way, we're below 10,000 feet. I'm not supposed to be talking. And Jimmy Carter was on board. And this is back in like 1997. And I was on the Airbus. No, it had to have been before that. Probably 1990. Yeah, I think it's when I came back to the Airbus for a little while, 7. He was down monitoring elections in Dominican Republic. And he rode on our airplane with the Secret Service. He sat in the jump seat for the descent. And as we pitched over, a cargo container came loose, and it's this big giant boom against the bulkhead. And the flight attendants called up and said, "Hey, the Secret Service is very worried. Is everything okay?" That's the end of that story. Of course it was. He was great. I don't care what anyone thinks he is politics. The guy was very interesting to talk to. Ex-Navy. I was living in Connecticut.
American 688, maintain present heading. Descend 4,000 feet and expect a base turn in around 12 months.
Present heading 4,000 feet, and we'll expect that. American 688. All right, present heading, so heading select. You could actually go heading hold, right? And heading select's fine. And what we'll do is go to the box. Departures arrival, grid interception. That's the extension, looks good. Extend it. Now we've got our extended center line and going down to 4,000, and we can go flight level change, take over the speed manually. That's it. How far is grit from the field? There we are on our downwind there. That's cool, huh? Grit is 9.2 miles. So somewhere in here I would start slowing a little bit. They usually at Miami have you much slower because they can end up dumping you in. You said a turn in 4 miles, so it means it's going to turn us in over grit. All right, speed below 265, flaps 1. Flaps coming to 1. Here they come. Flaps 30 is 139 when we get there. I anticipate him turning us here shortly. And speed below 245 flaps 5. Get some drag out for this turn in case he dumps us right on top of grit. Speed brakes on. Expect my base turn right about here. Not getting it, am I? Huh. I wonder if the FSiPanel is not working because we're going out here a little far. Yeah, it's a little far. I'm going to make the turn, guys, and assume that it's maybe we have an issue with the profile. American 688. Yeah, okay, so the FSI panel.
American 688, turn right direct leg, and you are cleared RNAV 09.
All right, right direct leg, clear the RNAV 09, American 688. All right, so, wrong again, Captain. LLEGG. LNAV, direct leg. Naturally, we would have never done that in real life. So, and if you go LNAV, leg is at 4,000. So we need to put in 4,000 there. All right, so we're clear for the approach. So we got 2 buttons, 2 windows. 2 buttons. Speed intervene, set speed, 2 windows. We cleared the RNAV all the way down to minimums 430. Look at that modeling. Geez, that is cool. All right, so 2 buttons, 2 windows, LNAV, VNAV, VNAV path. We got leg at 4,000. Grit at or above 3, INIS at 170, and we got speed intervened here. Looking good. Sorry guys, yeah, definitely we would have called them. I didn't know, they don't usually bring you all the way out here, but kind of a long final. That's cool. We're all good. You can see that these bars for the vertical track indicator are tight. That's from the 125. See here it says 125. 125. It's required to be 75. That's why it keeps it nice and tight. That's why it's there. Okay, so here comes the I'm gonna get the heading over for the missed approach. 3,000 is the altitude if we need it. We got 430 set. We are on path. So we can't set the missed approach altitude until we're inside of the FAF, which is INIS, and we're below 3,000 feet, 300 feet below the missed approach altitude, which is 3,000. So inside of INIS will be that we'll be able to set missed approach altitude of 3,000. RNAV, VNAV path, looking good. When would you go missed approach? If you're in the weather here and it said unable RNP, you obviously can't continue. There's one, if it says confirm RNP, you can continue. Just have to make sure you do it. There's the runway. Let's get it slowed down here. They would usually give you about 180 in here. Innis is about 5 miles. They usually have you 160, 180 there. And we can go gear down. And speed below 225, flaps 20. Sitting nice in the path, VNAV path. You got the vertical track indicators are good. Will be configured by Innis. Do 170 at Innis. 180 is our flaps 30 speed, so get us nice and slow down here.
2500.
Remember, after landing,
American 688, contact tower 123.9.
23.9 American 688. Come on, there it is. Beautiful. Tower American 688 is approaching Innis.
American 688 Tower, very good morning. Wind is 350 at 15 knots, runway 09, you okay to land?
Clear to land 09 for American 688. Clear to land. Set approach speed, flaps are 30, and before landing checklist. Yep, 139 speed. Innis is 0.7 miles, so right now we have runway heading set, but we can't set misapproach altitude until we're inside of Innis, no longer active, and we're at least 300 feet below misapproach altitude, which we are. And we have to check their altimeters within 200 feet of each other. All right, the Innis is no longer active. We can set 3,000 in here. There it goes. And runway turn off. Okay, here we go. Let's get the autopilot off. Autopilot is off. The vertical track indicator, it's pretty good. You got to really watch it on these RNAV approaches, guys. You got to really watch it. Sometimes they keep you really high or really low. So as soon as you can pick up the VASIs, the better. I'm starting to be able to pick them up now. Stable target sinking thing before landing checklist is complete. We are clear to land. Getting a little low on the VTI. Looking for the
Traffic.
There we go. We got red over white on the VASIs. These 300s break the sync at 40. 200s, it's more like 30.
500.
Stable target, sinking 7.
Approaching minimums.
Nice flight model, PMDG. Nice flight model. Feels like a 777.
Minimums.
Got a displaced threshold, which I didn't brief. Getting a little low.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Put it down, Captain. Definitely long. And off center line. Now I'm still getting used to this one. Airplane's pretty easy to land. Coming out of reverse.
American 688, vacate to left. Cross runway 30 via Tango, and then on the other side, sorry, contact the ground. 127.5 LA.
Okay, vacate left. Plus 30 Tango on ground the other side. Don't do any items on the ground, guys. All right, Tango is right up here. Tango 7 to Tango. And once we do Tango is the outer. Yeah, so that wasn't a good landing. Left the center line long and everything like that, but still getting used to this thing. Not a good one. Motor brakes are off. And yeah, the tendency is to want to run a checklist here. You shouldn't do that on the ground. He wants us to take Tango all the way across. All right, flaps up, please, after landing checklist. Oh, you know what we have? I was trying to get my flow to work here, but it doesn't seem to want to come up. Let me try this. Remember, they said contact ground on the other side of the runway. The other side. Clear left and right. Ground American 688 is crossing Tango. 30 Tango.
American 688, welcome to Miami. Your gate today is Delta 28, taxi second left via Papa Whiskey and November.
Okay, Delta 28, Papa Whiskey November for American 688. All right, flaps are up, you're up. DC3 is over there. Here we go. We're on Papa. Whiskey is our Whiskey, November, and Delta 28 is across from spot 7. Most challenging part, right, guys?
Hi guys, JP, welcome to Miami. I hope you liked this flight, American Airlines from Kennedy to Florida. The ID was given to me by Captain Jeff, known as Father Time. He's got a very nice YouTube channel, and as you may know, he's a retired 777 captain. So he gave me the ID to do this very nice route as the first 777 scenario. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any question or comment, please drop it in the section down below. And I see you very soon for another training scenario. Bye-bye.
I swear to God, I didn't know he was going to do that. I swear to God. All right, that was pretty cool, JP. Pretty cool. Now, I didn't turn off traffic, so I hope my gate's not occupied. We said spot 7 right there. Let me go to the overhead. Looks like they did the after landing flow for me. Beautiful. Hey, that was, what an honor. What an honor. Yeah, I've been working a lot with them on, like I said, the Airbus A300, the MD-80, and now this and the MD-11. I was really trying to get the MD-11 nipped to status since I haven't loyal to those guys. And man, I gotta tell you, you guys got to get this program. I've done videos on the approaches. You can do multiple approaches, just take snapshots. It's as close to the real thing sim work as I've ever seen. I can't believe he's created. I can't believe he's just one of us and he's able to do this stuff. So I'm impressed. I really am. Delta 28, we'll figure it out. Don't know if it's open. We'll see. Not much of a choice, right? So we'll come right in here. I'm sure we're going to get, this gate is too small for your aircraft. Remember, speed tape is where my nose is. Yeah, I'm still in shock. That was cool. That was very cool. I'm going to have to thank him for that one. Okay, brakes are parked. Flight attendants are in the overhead for that one. Seatbelt sign is off. APU is established. You can chop the engines. After landing flow. I wonder if we can do the shutdown flow. Nope, it's not doing that. So what I do is I come to the overhead, and my flow is electrical pumps off, fuel pumps off, beacon off, and come all the way up, and emergency lights are off. That's my flow. And we'll go, the FO has a different flow, the transponder and everything. We'll go checklist, pre-flight. That's not what you do. You want to go, it's reset on me here. Landing checklist, we did all that. Normals, pre-flight, we don't want to do that. Normal checklist, normal menu, shutdown, parking brake. Before I do that, let me come here, EFB. Actually, before I do that, let me come here and go GSX.
This parking is too small for your aircraft.
Press
The
deboarding.
boarding requested.
American Airlines, of course. Let them do their thing. Let me go to the EFB and get some stuff hooked up here. Yeah, not perfect, guys. Set chocks. Chocks are there. That way I can release the brakes. Jetway connection, ground power requests. Conditioned air requests. That way we get the AP shut down. Open forward cargo. Back over. Really enjoyed it. That was so much fun. Open aft cargo, forward cargo, and see what door they're at here. Looks like they're at 2L. Yep, 2L. Open.
Passengers deboarding starting.
Opening.
Goodbye.
Okay, checklist. Parking brake is set. Is off, rather. Because I have chocks in. Normal checklist. Shutdown. Oxygen is test. That's pre-flight. Whatever reason, it's not cycling through. Something I did wrong. ATIS off and PACs off. So naturally, ATIS off. We wouldn't turn the APU off until we established, and we made sure we had conditioned air plugged in. Let's go ahead and make that assumption that the conditioned air is plugged in. Shut off the APU. APU bleeds are off, and that's it. Let's go outside. Shutdown checklist is complete. Watch your step, folks. Watch your step. Anyway, I love this stuff. Thanks, guys. What are we up to? 3 hours, 9 minutes of a complete flight from JFK to Miami. I did it on like 6 different airplanes for American. That was so much fun for me. Lots of stories. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll timestamp it, but thank you, JP. Thank you, FSiPanel. Father Time's out. Welcome to Miami.